Heavenly Father, today we put on the full armor to protect us against attack. We put on the belt of truth to protect against lies and deception. We put on the breastplate of righteousness to protect our hearts from the temptations. We put the gospel of peace on our feet to walk in your light, peace, and freedom with the Holy Spirit. We rebuke anxious thoughts. We take up your shield of faith for protection to block and destroy all the darts and threats thrown at us by the enemy. We put on the helmet of salvation to cover our minds and thoughts, reminding us that we are children of a mighty King. We are forgiven, set free, saved by the blood of Jesus. We take up the sword of the Spirit, your living word, that has the power to demolish strongholds and is sharper than any double-edged sword. We come to you, Lord, in prayer daily. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Oh my God, that was so beautiful.
Thank you,
I already
girl.
forgot what we were doing, and I was like, oh, yeah, so beautiful. I loved that.
Aw, thank you, girl. And what's up, you guys? Welcome to The Imagination. I'm your host, Emma, and today we are welcomed back by former three-time podcast guests, ritual abuse, mind control, sex trafficking, rape and abduction survivor, overcomer, and warrior, devoted wife and loving mother, podcast host, content creator, author and blogger, singer and performer, vocal coach, entrepreneur, Epstein and Ghislane Maxwell recruit, beauty queen, past and present, and someone I'm honored to call a long-term dear friend, Molly Skye Brown. In a world shrouded in shadows, a radiant soul emerged, her voice a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. Molly's story, unveiled in a gripping three-part series we did a few years ago on this show, is a testament to the indomitable human spirit, a testimony that will captivate your heart and ignite your soul. I highly recommend listening to those episodes before or after this one, and I will have them listed in the show notes for you guys. A little bit about Molly and what we will be talking about today if you're new here or if you missed her three-part series. From the tenderest of ages, Molly faced unimaginable trials. Her innocence stolen by the cruel hands of neglect and abuse by her family and those around her. A pedophile, a predator lurking beyond the confines of her family in a neighboring home, preyed upon her vulnerability, shattering the sanctity of her childhood. Yet within this fragile vessel burned a passion, a gift that would not be extinguished, a voice destined to soar. Molly, a child performer and singer of extraordinary talent, stepped into the merciless jaws of Hollywood machine. Her dreams, like delicate wings, were torn and tattered by the very industry that should have nurtured her. Powerful men and women, entrusted with guiding her ascent, instead exploited her gifts, weaving a web of vulnerability around the little girl with stars in her eyes. Undeterred, Molly poured her heart into her craft, believing that dedication and hard work would pave the path to her dreams. Opportunities glimmered before her, each one a promise of the spotlight she craved and so deserved. But with every boundary she dared to set, an invisible ceiling descended, confining her spirit and perpetuating the cycle of abuse from those she trusted most. As she blossomed into adulthood, Molly's quest for safety led her down treacherous roads, her aspirations of a singer colliding with the harsh reality of an industry that demanded her very soul. The Hollywood machine, a ravenous beast, devoured the innocence of the child who only wished to share her voice with the world, a voice stifled by the weight of perpetration. In a moment that would forever alter Molly's destiny, a supposed agent, cloaked in promises of stardom, lured Molly to a dinner meeting. What followed was a horrific abduction, a brutal assault, a rape that shattered her world and left scars that still ache today. Defeated but not given up, Molly rose from the ashes, embarking on a relentless quest for justice, a battle that has waged through years of trials, facing the man who should have been her champion, but instead became her tormentor. Dargan Watts, the name that echoes through Molly's story today, stands as one of the final adversaries in a lifetime of struggle. With unwavering resolve, Molly will be confronting him once more in the courtroom in a few weeks, her spirit unbroken, her voice resounding with the strength of a warrior. Each step forward wears down her enemy, a testament to her fearless determination. Today we get to hear more about this journey, an epic odyssey of resilience and survival, a candle flickering defiantly in the darkest of nights. Molly's spirit, warrior's heart, inspires awe and reverence. From the melody she once sang to the powerful words she now speaks, Molly stands as a beacon of hope for all survivors, her voice a roar that echoes beyond the confines of her own story. In the face of every obstacle put in her way, Molly has persisted, an embodiment of the human capacity to triumph over adversity. Her tale and what we get to hear today, shared with unflinching honesty, illuminates the path for others, a reminder that even in the bleakest moments, the light of hope endures. Molly's unwavering spirit is a gift to us all, an inspiration to rise, to fight, and to never surrender the dreams that define us. Before wrapping up the introduction of today's guests, I'd like to share just a couple quick reminders and updates. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, sharing any information privately with me, or submitting a written testimony for my upcoming book series, or to be featured on a Substack article, you can reach out to me via email at imagineabetterworld2020@gmail.com or standbysurvivors@protonmail.com. Additionally, I've teamed up with a couple of my favorite brands to offer you exclusive discount codes on products I love, including Rife Technology frequency machines and CZTL's premium methylene blue. You can find all the relevant links and codes along with other resources in the show notes. Your support across all platforms is greatly appreciated, especially as I've had to shift to alternative streaming platforms such as Rumble and X following the termination of my former YouTube channel. I've just started a new YouTube channel that you can also subscribe to at the handle at Imagination Podcast Official that I will be and am rebuilding as well. This transition to multiple platforms is crucial to continuing sharing vital information with the public and the disclosure community. Thank you all for listening wholeheartedly, for helping to make the imagination the safest space on the internet for survivor, whistleblower, advocate, and educator disclosures. Your support means the world to me and to us. So you guys, without further ado, please help me in welcoming today's guest of honor, survivor, overcomer, warrioress, walking miracle, fierce mama bear, survivor advocate, woman of God, and a literal voice for the voiceless, the one, the only, Molly Skye Brown. Molly, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's such an honor to have you back.
Oh, that was so beautiful. My gosh, I need to hire you to just finish my book for me.
Done, I'm hired.
Right? You do such a beautiful job.
You're
Yeah.
so worthy of it. It's sad that you didn't get to hear those words your whole life, and that there were people that did the opposite even of what they told you. You are all those things and more, and that's why people sought you out. And
Yeah.
in a really sick and twisted way, like, you know, perpetrators don't go after people that aren't valuable or worthy. It's the opposite. Like, they see so much worth in you, and that can be a hard thing to come to terms with as you're digesting and healing from stuff, but that's always how it is, and it's just really sad that they couldn't have done it in like a loving way that supported and nurtured. Instead, they had to deal with violence and, horrific pain and suffering, but you are such an inspiration with how you've overcame it all and your journey of, hearing what you went through all the way from
I'm
childhood to
still
adulthood.
overcoming it. It's gonna
I
be
know you are, but
until
just
I
the
meet
fact that
him.
you're here, you're speaking out, you just keep going, and it's amazing just to see you, and I want to point out her shirt
Yeah.
to everybody watching. The best ever. Perfect for what we're going to be talking about today.
Yep. Yep. Karma is due and it's here. And I want to share resources that are helping me. I'm eating and drinking a bunch of things. I want to share things that are helping and working with me because it's such a shitstorm trying to navigate all of this, especially when we know it's all set up to entrap us in the first place. And then obviously they want to get away with everything. So, I mean, it's taken so many years to just understand new terminology and unravel so many things that I've been through. Even hearing you describe certain things, I'm like, well, I don't know if it was that or that, but it falls into those buckets of, well, that is basically satanic ritual abuse. That's, none of this is of God. Let's put it that way. So we need to hear these things and we need to hear the correct terminology so that we can say, hey, I encountered this too, or they targeted me, or this is what it looked like when it approached me. Like I was saying, other survivors attack each other and they're working against each other, and that's usually how you can tell who's kind of in the network and might be helping the network. And because a lot of them were recruiters and they're still recruiters because they have blackmail on them. That's basically what the difference between a victim and the recruiters that are still having to do shit are, the blackmail that's binding them to commit those crimes. Whereas I don't have any blackmail and Didn't mean they didn't try. The Dargan, that producer that abducted and raped me on the job dinner meeting, the fake dinner meeting, he turned on his computer on and off around the rape solely. And he offered me a drink right beforehand. So I believe his intent was to drug me, to blackmail me, to record it, to humiliate me, to use that against me, to make me his little puppet for the end of time. And thankfully, it didn't work out that way. Being a child survivor, and I had been drugged by a friend who was a bartender when I was, I think, like 19 or 20. So I was very aware of what people could do and would do. And I just really didn't drink. I was my own best friend because I didn't trust people. Being a child rape survivor, and for 3 years dealing with a man that's in your window that no one sees. And he's in the military, and he's Purple Heart, and he's high ranking, and he's a helicopter pilot. And I mean, I learned to sleep facing one direction in my bed, and I would wake up because I would be locked in that position. Sometimes my legs wouldn't open, my knees would be just locked in a bent position because I would tell myself, don't flip over because you'll see him. Oh. I had these little peekaboo windows in Pebble Beach, and we lived on a 1/4 acre lot in the forest, and it was just gorgeous, and it was very, very safe, and we had our windows open, and we didn't lock our doors, and we all knew each other, and we thought everything was great and fine and dandy. And that's the stranger danger that perpetuated. It's not so much stranger danger. None of my I can't say none. The majority of my predators were not strangers. One or two were strangers. Most of them knew me. They were authority figures. They were protectors. They were neighbors. They were daddy, not my daddy, but just daddies. If I were to tell anyone to be afraid of anything before strangers, I would say daddies. And not your own. Doesn't have to be your own. But we think daddies are safe. I mean, I just gave this guy pass after pass after pass because I was like, well, he wouldn't have kids and a wife if he was a problem. I'm misunderstanding.
Yes, that's like a huge lie. I think that was perpetuated on purpose as stranger danger because we know that I think I've heard up to 95% of abuse actually happens with somebody that the child knows and trusts on some level, or that the family does. It's very rarely that, the movie Hollywood type abduction scenario where like a random
Hollywood's
person.
married to the government.
And exactly.
Yeah, they want to teach us what rape isn't, romanticize it, not call it what it is. And before we got going, you and I were talking, I used to refer to as whenever someone got non-consensual sex out of me, it was, I didn't know the term. So it was, they got me. That person got me. So-and-so got me. I didn't know raped me. I said, oh, I didn't want to do that. They got me. They got what they wanted. They got me. And so I didn't know the term rape. And I didn't want to use the term rape, even for Dargan. I didn't even know that what he did to me was considered rape because he didn't punch me. There were no marks all over me. I submitted once I knew it was going the way it was because I tried to get away from that guy when I was 9 and almost died. So I know better than to fight. I'm a handicapped, disabled person who was born with physical limitations anyway. I had, my legs were in casts. I had a full body spica cast for both my legs. I was in traction as a child, congenital hip dysplasia. So I was very weak, very fragile, very frail. And when I was 9, that guy, I mean, he almost killed me repeatedly. Every time I tried to fight him, he was thoroughly enjoying that. I thought I could get away from him, 40 pounds, soaking wet kid.
Oh my gosh.
And then with Dargan, I wasn't going to fight him. He's huge. He's over 6 feet tall. He's a massive man. We were in a home that I believed no one was there. So who am I going to scream to? And I don't want to get a punch to the face and then get some dirt thrown on me and buried.
100%.
Why wouldn't they do that? So you have to play and calculate everything. So I tried to fight him. I tried him as much as I could that I wasn't going to hurt or dislocate something. And then it was one of those, just disassociate. I was crying. He knew it was no. I kept saying no, 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 no. He had my hands over my head with one of his hands pinning me down. And it was not consensual. And I remember laying there going, I can't believe you think you're going to get away with this.
So horrible. And I want to walk people through this story again because it's been a few years since you've been on. And if you're listening, Molly did an incredible three-part series. We talked probably equal parts about the Dargan situation that we're going to outline and catch you guys up on what's happened since she's been on. And we also talked about some of her other experiences from childhood, Hollywood, and then being recruited by Ghislane Maxwell. We did I think almost a whole show just on that, maybe part three, and then we had sort of interlaced it in the other episodes, but it was a really thorough testimony, sort of from start to finish of Molly's life and some really key points in it. So I'm gonna have that in the show notes. But one thing that we wanted to talk about before we dive into a recap of this dinner meeting that was supposed to be with Dargan, who was also, scouting you,
Yeah.
same way that you had been by so many who perpetrated on you. You had a revelation since last time that you came on regarding sort of the Epstein Ghislane situation. I wanted to give you a chance to share that before we dive into the rest of the story.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. So, I have gone down to Palm Beach multiple times. I've tried to file police reports. When I call, they're like, you have to come down in person. And I'm in Orlando. So Palm Beach is a good hour and a half, 2 hour drive each way. And yeah, so it takes a while to get there and it takes a while to get there. So it's a full day commitment. And I don't really drive. I don't have my own vehicle. I'm agoraphobic. I have severe CPTSD. I work from my home, being disabled and all that too. I have just always kind of figured out how to survive. Scrappy. And so I totally forgot what I was talking about.
We were talking about the person that you were going to name today.
Oh, about going down to Palm Beach. Yes. So I had already gone down to Palm Beach. I'd already called repeatedly trying to give information. And I have to call Palm Beach County, Palm Beach Island, like the main Palm Beach police, which they just don't care. Obviously, they're covering for that network and their buddies because they need cover. And you can read stories how the police were helping and security was helping. And I mean, it's not a secret that they had all these people pulling strings and likely getting favors or payouts. So we go down there. I had already been down there before. I'd already reported before. And I went down this time because the hospital that I went inpatient to in 2001, a year after the abduction and rape, I went in person because I was wanting to die. I was incredibly suicidal and I wanted to die because I didn't graduate college at this point. I wasn't going to law school at this point. I wasn't singing anymore at this point. I had no direction. I felt like I had no purpose. Everything I had worked towards my entire life was like none of it's safe, none of it's legit, none of it's real. Scholarships, all of that, lost it all. And I was just totally floundering and I was incredibly suicidal. So I went inpatient, went to this hospital, met the roommate was an Epstein Ghislane Maxwell recruiter. And so I spoke up and wrote something about that hospital and my experience there because I believe I was drugged and raped by an orderly while I was there also. So as soon as I got into the room, the girl who was the recruiter for Maxwell, she said, don't tell them anything. They will use it against you. And I was like, use what against me? Like, it's not my family, so there's nothing to use against me. And then she said, and the orderlies will drug and rape you in your sleep. And I just thought she was being hysterical and trying to scare me. And I didn't know how psychotic she was, if this is like a fun game for her to scare people. I didn't know. And I woke up the first night at that hospital, Columbia Hospital in Palm Beach. It's called JFK Hospital now. And I woke up that night. I was already asleep. And I woke up to an orderly, a male orderly, on top of me with a tourniquet around my arm. And he was giving me blood, taking blood from me. And he said he was giving me something to help me sleep. And I was like, that's weird because I'm already asleep. So why would you give me something to help me sleep? And I didn't request that. And I had no one has told me that this is going to happen. But it was my first time ever in a hospital like that. So I didn't know what protocol was. I have since tried to kill myself intently and went through with doing it twice. And I know that that's not the protocol. They will tell you what's going on. They will not do that unless you are, incapacitated. But if you are awake and conscious, they will tell you, okay, here are your meds. We need blood. You will not be woken in the middle of the night by an orderly taking your blood before you're even awake and telling you he's giving you a sedative while you're already asleep. So I believe he raped me in my sleep. I didn't know it at the time. And so people were telling me other Epstein victims were like, you probably were. And the fact that your roommate said that and everything too. So I was talking about that openly, and I found another victim. I found a victim of his. A 15-year-old girl was raped by, we believe, the exact same orderly. She has described him to me, and it sounds like the same person. She was 15 at the time. She was not drugged. And he raped her while he was discharging her. So basically saying, be a good girl and you can leave. So I was going down to Palm Beach to tell them that because they wouldn't take it over the phone. They didn't care about the other victim unless she called in. And I had voicemails, I had text messages from this girl, all the stuff saying it. And they were like, oh, well, we can't take any of that information unless she calls in. So encourage her to call in. And I was like, yeah, you guys seem to not care. So hopefully she calls in. So now my shit's contingent on whether this victim decides to call in, which I don't know if she did or not. She's been freaked out. I coordinated with her. I told her I went down there and I reported it and I told them about you and they're waiting to hear from you. I don't know if she heard from them or not. And then she ended up having to move. So I don't know if she just gave up on it altogether. But I mean, if you speak up, you might find other people. So that was huge. That was huge confirmation of something I had, like twilight memory of possible what could be happening, and got insane confirmation speaking up that another victim, same hospital, same area of the hospital, the same person, it sounds like, same orderly, it's same division, same everything, same timeline and everything too. So I went down to go report all of that because Palm Beach was like, you have to report it in person. And I was like, you guys suck. So we go down there, we're reporting it. And while I'm there reporting it, I was able to get some clarity on who the other John was, that recruiter, Lisa Villeneuve, that recruiter was trying to sell me to after that party. So when she brought me to the Epstein Maxwell Trump party, because it dumped out to Mar-a-Lago. And this was shortly after 9/11. So this was like September, this was like October, November of 2001. I didn't hit it off with that guy Kurt on his yacht, and I wouldn't take the drink. So I wasn't allowed to go to the after party. And then when they were triangulating me, I was with the guy Bobby Cox, who said he was a model scout, and Lisa said, "Oh, he's a pimp." And I was like, I don't know that those are interchangeable. Like I have two legitimate agents, and they have never said sometimes I'm a pimp and sometimes I'm an agent. Like I'm just like red flag, holy shit. And then Lisa goes, "He's not a model scout, he's a pimp." And I'm just like, okay, I'm not liking these words. So I'm out corralled but with Bobby, and Bobby goes, like what type of millionaire billionaire situation are you looking for? Because I wasn't interested in Kurt. Kurt was like 30 and he was I think he was on heroin, and they were looking for a good girl situation. A girlfriend experience is the terminology that was used. And if you Google that, that's escort wording, and you'll find it on Trump escort sites. GFE, girlfriend experience. If you go on the Wayback Machine and you type in Trump escorts, girlfriend experience, GFE is in there over and over and over. Lisa said those words to me. She said, Kurt's not enjoying his girlfriend experience. She's a stick in the mud and he wants a new girlfriend. And I was like, well, then why doesn't he break up with her and get a new girlfriend? She said, it doesn't work that way. He has a contract with her. So this is how it all started. I mean, she was telling me I'd have to go sign a contract with Ghislane Maxwell. So Kurt was going to get 100,000 if he could stop doing heroin and get off of his parents' yacht and find a good girl. So I was going to be like a babysitter and try to help him get his inheritance. And so they were saying he was up for, so this is 2001, he was looking at getting $100,000 as his money that he was entitled to if he could stop being a piece of shit, that he could get that job within their company and make $100,000, and I would get 10% of that a year. That's nothing. I am stupid enough in math to know that that is still not livable wages. That is under $1,000 a month to be someone's exclusive hooker. So I was telling Lisa, I go, so do I have to have sex with this guy? And she was like, no, but it has to be convincing. Like people have to believe that you're the girlfriend, when I'm really like the babysitter, the life coach. It was just way weird. So I wasn't into him. It didn't work out with him. There was a bunch of innuendos and codes thrown about when I wouldn't take the drink. So it sounded like they were absolutely trying to drug me, because they asked, is she cool? And Lisa said, no, she's not cool. And I said, yes, I am. I'm very cool. And Lisa goes, he means for sex. And I go, ew, I just met you. And he goes, no, I meant for Coke. And I was like, I'll do Coke. But they wouldn't let me have any because I didn't have the downer. So you can't have the upper. If you, I mean, imagine who I am. I've said this before right now. Imagine me on Coke. I would have destroyed the whole network. I would have pulled it all down that evening.
They didn't, they knew it. They're just like,
They
we
knew. They're like,
keep
no,
Molly
she's
away.
already unhandleable. No Coke. Get her out of here. So, so I'm out on the patio and I'm talking to that Bobby guy and I'm being a diva. I'm demanding I want to go in the house. My hair's frizzing. It's South Florida and it's, you know, it's still hot and sticky and I blow dried my hair straight. So I was being a diva. I was like, can I go outside? Like, what is this party? This party is so lame. It's so weird. Everyone had their like own private interviews and you couldn't like mingle. And it was like all these weird looking men that didn't look good looking, and then all these gorgeous like models and like young people and everything all over the spectrum. And I'm just like, what is happening here? And they're like, oh, they're having their own private interviews. A lot of them are producers and directors and they're models and actors. And I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. And then it was like, oh, but you can't talk to them because it's more than just that. They're trying to sell you to that person. That's why you can't go mingling, because they're trying to matchmake all these people and then get their blackmail so they can coordinate it all and manipulate and control everyone. So, because it's all honey trapping. So I am in the backyard with that guy, Bobby, and Bobby goes, so what kind of millionaire, billionaire situation are you looking for? And I said, give me someone with a leg and a foot in the grave. And because I was thinking to myself, if I am in charge of his little charger thingy, his little scooter, and he's going to race around the house trying to rape me, then I need to make sure that I am much more nimble than him to make it unplugged and he can never chase me. So I was like, give me a billionaire with a foot in the grave. That's the only kind of billionaire I will even entertain at this point. And he goes, oh, so you want an Anna Nicole Smith situation? And I was like, yeah, give me an Anna Nicole Smith situation. So I don't think anything's going to come of this stuff. I am literally just shooting the shit in the same way when she said the orderlies rape you in your sleep. I'm not believing any of that. Like I'd go over to her house and she'd be like, there's cameras everywhere. And I was like, okay, sure there is, you know? And she lived in a gigantic mansion and she had the master bedroom and she said she outranked her parents and her dad was a French dignitary and her mom looked like a trafficked victim herself, very young looking. And then she said her brothers were rapists. So, I mean, I was just surrounded by weirdos all the time. They just kept coming at me. So she calls me and tries to set me up. I get out of that event, you know, because they move over to Mar-a-Lago and I'm not allowed to go, even though Ghislane Maxwell tells me that I can go. Lisa goes. They're just looking for prostitutes. And I was like, well, I don't think Donnie can fuck 100 people, which I've heard he can. I've heard he can. I've heard he can have gigantic benders because of the adreno that they're all into, which I know about the harvesting and all that stuff and the eugenics program. And I know survivors of the eugenics program. And I know survivors of the adrenochrome of the Zorro Ranch, you know, so it's horrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. So I'm home. She calls me and tells me that she wants to hook me up with this guy, that he's a poet laureate. Because I told her I was an English major and a communications and singing and that I was going to go to law school. And she was like, you know, okay, obviously I don't like this Kurt guy. Maybe I'll like this 60-year-old poet. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me. But I'm so curious about things. Like I said to you before, I did the morning announcements in school. Like I was a reporter. I did them in college too, because I thought maybe I might be an anchor or a journalist or something. You know, they're always trying to put you on an influencer track to begin with. So I was definitely being pushed down that road with Disney stuff and the singing stuff and being outgoing and then patriotism and singing the national anthem here and All American Girl. And I mean, they were pushing that persona on me and it feels so psyopy when I look at it. I was like, oh my God, wow, she would have done well for them if they could have controlled her. But so yes, so she's trying to go a different angle with the poet thing, that, oh, he's a poet laureate. And I didn't even know what that was. I didn't even know what a poet laureate was. That's like the president's poet. It's the presidential poet. And so I met him. His name's Billy Collins. And I couldn't remember it for the longest time, but I remembered dinner. He had a straw hat. He had a bald head with a halo hair. And I knew he was a poet, and I knew he was a poet laureate, even though I didn't know what a poet laureate was really at the time. I found out because I've always known he was a poet laureate. That's something I always remembered, but I was like, there's only one poet laureate at any time. So if I look up poet laureate 2001, oh my God, it was him. I found him. Yep, Billy Collins. And he's got a straw hat, and he's got the halo hair, and he's a poet. And some of his poetry is even about his straw hat, which he had at the dinner table. And I can't remember if he took it off or not, but I remember him having the straw hat. And his name being Billy. I remember thinking, I don't know if I could ever be with a man that has that name, because my dad's name was Bill. And I was like, my dad is going to be like, Molly, where did I go wrong? Like, why are you dating a 60-year-old man named Bill? What have I done to destroy your life? So I'm thinking all of this stuff while I'm having dinner with this man. And so I met him at the Colony House, which is on Palm Beach Island. And we had dinner there. And he apparently lived there, and JFK had a place there. So he had some sort of a condo there. And he was telling me that I could live there with him, and that he had a couple $1 million condo. Are you pulling up Colony House or yeah, that's him. Yep, there he is. And you know what's even creepier? He literally lives in my city right now.
Gosh.
He lives in
Look at
Orlando.
this guy.
It
Ew.
is super creepy.
Ooh.
That's him.
The hair and everything.
84. Okay, girl, I am 47.
One foot in the grave.
Yeah. So he's never even been
Oh man.
he's never been like, he's not part of the Epstein list, because they don't have the real list.
Right.
They have a black book. That man was a client. That man wanted to marry me. He wanted me to be one of his girlfriend experiences. I was going to live at the Colony House, which is where he lived. I had dinner with him there. I remember him telling me that they did like cabaret shows there. He was like, you could perform here. And I was like, oh, in my little bird cage. Like, I'm like, no, thank you. I'm not performing downstairs in my little bird cage of a, I was just, no. Everything in me was like, run, Molly, run. And that whole year, I ended up meeting my first husband, and that recruiter kept trying to get me away from him, because these guys liked me. Billy Collins really liked me. Kurt really liked me. So Lisa kept coming. I have pictures of Lisa. So Lisa was still trying to recruit me when I was engaged to another man who didn't make any money, because I remember she kept saying, I can't believe you're marrying someone who makes like 60,000 a year. And I was like, I don't give a fuck about money. I can make my own. I'm not worried about it. And money is not worth abuse and rape. It is not. If you want to die for going through that shit, there's not any amount of money that you're going to want to keep tolerating it then. So I was just never impressed by money. I grew up with money. I grew up with no money. I grew up with it, taken away and given back, and having it and then taking it away and then getting some of it back. I grew up around evil people, not my family members, but some extended family members, uncles, stole our inheritance, not good people. One of them's a pedophile. And so, they're not going to get me. I'm not going to go sign up for that lifestyle. So she came to my bridal shower, and she was supposed to be one of my bridesmaids. So she calls me on the day of my bridal shower, and she's telling me something like, she's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to come. I don't know if I can get clearance. I need to get government clearance. And I was like, you're so full of shit. Like, just get your fucking ass up here. Like, I didn't believe her at all. And she's like, I have to get government clearance. And I just thought she was so extra, but she truly did need to get government clearance. And she came with her own handler. And she goes, my handler's probably going to have to come. And I was like, sure, Lisa, bring your handler and get that government clearance. Like, I didn't believe a fucking word out of her mouth. So she shows up with her handler, and I have pictures of them. And I remember taking pictures, and she was freaking out. And she goes, She goes, "Oh, we didn't realize you guys were going to take pictures. I can't have pictures taken of me." And I'm like, "Lisa, I'm getting married in 2 weeks and you're one of my bridesmaids." I go, "If you don't think we're getting pictures done, I don't know how to educate you quickly on how a wedding works, but there are pictures. It's like a fundamental part." I mean, she was just so weird. And then I never heard from her ever after that point. Just literally fell off the face of the planet. She never came to my wedding. I had to replace her at the last second. And my brother's girlfriend at the moment was, she was my fill-in at the time. She was like, "Oh, I remember that girl. She just disappeared." Her nickname was Looney Lisa. We knew her as Looney Lisa. She just disappeared. And then when we moved to Colorado like over a decade ago. I just needed a fucking reprieve. I needed to get out of Florida. I did not living in the same city as some of my abusers, Dargan in particular too. And so I just needed to get out of there. So we lived in Colorado, and it was so nice to just get away from things when I
Oh
was
yeah.
in Colorado. So it was, I had my son at this point. I was remarried at this point, and I was like, oh, it's like 2012, and I got married in 2002. And so it was like 10 years, and I was like, yeah, I should reach out to her and see if I can find her. So I looked her up online. I think I've already told you this. The person that I have found, and it looks like she's using like AI pictures and fake pictures because obviously she has government connections. She goes by Ghislane now. Yeah.
What?
Ghislane Lisa Villeneuve. Yes. Mm-hmm. She's a realtor, which is what I told her to get into. I said, you should stop chasing these billionaires because they're just going to kill you. She wanted the heir to Gillette. I think his name was Bo at the time. I've never been able to find this guy, but she wanted the heir to Gillette. I remember she was very intimidated, and she hated Ava Dubbin. She wanted her husband, the hedge fund guy. She thought she was way hotter and prettier and younger. And because she was like 19. And I was like, I don't know what you're bringing to the table, but if they're mad at you, they could literally kill you, have you replaced, and it's a giant funny game to them because they have that much money. So I was telling her, because she was asking, like, what does my dad do? And I was like, well, my dad's in finance and personal finance, but I said, like, my stepmom, his wife, my stepmother, she sells real estate, high-end real estate, Palm Beach Island real estate. She was a socialite before she met my husband, my husband. Before she met her husband before that was some sort of guy. I can't remember who he was, but probably in the network. Because what is a socialite? Besides a fancy term for usually laundering money. So I don't know what all she was doing, but she was in with that crowd too. So I was telling Lisa, I was like, you should get into real estate. She makes a ton of money. She doesn't have to sell herself, and she was like, Molly, you're so smart. You're so brilliant. She had this really interesting cadence. She had this very interesting broken English cadence. So she told me she spoke French, Vietnamese, and English. And on her website, Ghislaine Lisa Villeneuve, it says she speaks French, Vietnamese, English, and then there's one other on there too. And it's just like, I know it's you. You're doing real estate now. You're not Lisa Villeneuve. You're now Ghislane Lisa Villeneuve. Like, I only know one other Ghislane, and it's the one. And so I called her, and it was her. She answered the phone. It sounded exactly like her. She said, no, I am not who you think I am. You have the wrong person. I don't know who you are. And got off the phone with me and hung up on me. And I was like, that's so weird because it's absolutely her.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I reported her to the FBI, reported her to the police. I reported her. They haven't even called Dargan. I reported him as rape, and they've never even called him. So they're not calling Lisa either. So that's where we're at. I reported them all. I went down, and that's when I remember Billy Collins. I think it was on my way back up. I was like, oh, right. A poet laureate is only one. So if he was the poet laureate in 2001, then I would know his name. So I Googled poet laureate 2001, and it was Billy fucking Collins. And it all came flooding back. Like I said, the hat, the name, because I remember thinking, oh my God, can I be with someone with my dad's name?
And it's interesting too. I was trying to look up the Colony House after you said that, and what popped up was Billy Collins's poem, Colony House. is a humorous and introspective piece that explores the poet's childhood memories of a summer camp, specifically a colony house where he and his friends would spend their time. He literally has a poem called that. Just a
I'll
poem.
have to look that up. And I know he has a poem about his straw hat also. And so I was like, yeah, yeah, this is him.
This is the guy.
So funny. I love that he's saying child because is it because you were behaving like a child with your horrible boyfriends? Because he was not a
Right.
child. He is in his 80s.
And there's also, I don't know what his past is. I'm assuming if he's in the network, he has gone through some things and some programs,
Oh,
but
he
there's,
has to. So he has a whole bunch of stuff that he's like positioned in schools. So in order to do well with the network, first of all, you have to be complicit. You have to be playing along. If you look up other poet laureates, they're not millionaires. And somehow this one's a millionaire. How is a literary dude a multimillionaire? So if you look up the poet laureate before and after him, the presidential poet laureates, they were paupers. And somehow this guy's a multi-millionaire and he's got connections with schools, with colleges. So that's how it gets funneled is he's promoting the art tract, the English tract, because all roads lead to Epstein
yes.
or his network.
And there's been a lot of survivors that have, and I'm not saying that this happened to him, but summer camps are a lot of times like abuse camps, they get
Yes,
kids away from their families
programming.
and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
So it's interesting putting all of that together too. This
Yep.
guy is
Well, how
right.
many times have you heard of Boy Scouts?
Exactly, yes.
You're talking about parents giving up their children to you who have utmost control, and you might be a horrible person. I mean, it is a playground. And I mean,
100%.
at some point, we've got to sue the government. I keep telling survivors, we have to come together. This is why I keep saying survivors, stop fighting each other. If you're fighting with another survivor, that survivor's probably a recruiter. So just cut it off and go find other survivors that actually want to get justice, that are probably not part of the network. A lot of these girls are still recruiters. A lot of these people are still informants. They're handlers. They're still part of the network because they have horrible blackmail on them. I know you know Madison Claire. Is that her name? Yeah. So I was watching one of her TikTok videos the other day and love her. I love that she's, speaking and has her voice and she's a singer like me. And, she was going the Trump route too. And I just had to sit and watch and be like, stay safe. But, let's regroup when you get away from him because he's not a good guy either. I know you and I are talking to a girl that was brought into his administration. She thought she was getting into politics and she was drugged and trafficked for 6 months to world leaders, Netanyahu, Trump, both sides, Hunter Biden, Emhoff. I mean, it's both sides. It's both sides. That's why we get nowhere. And we need victims to come together. We need survivors to come together. We need to find civil rights attorneys, and we need to sue the government for perpetuating this, for being the honeypot system. Okay, so I paid my own education. I paid for coaches. I paid all of this shit to do the thing I was on, and it led to trafficking. Who do I sue? Because that's fucking entrapment. I have been set up, all of us who get ensnared in this, they're constantly trying to get us. And it's part of their CIA documents that they release that they're allowed to, for the greater good, we are expendable. And it's like, oh, well, I don't agree with that because I have a constitutional right to life before that. So, I mean, survivors need to come together and we need to try to class action sue the government and try to get some legislations done, or else we're going to be Afghanistan. And I don't know if women understand 4 years ago in Afghanistan, you could go to school. Women can't go to school anymore. Look at Iran and Iraq. I mean, look at all these Middle East. I mean, in the 70s, I think it was Iraq. I mean, they were like us. Women could wear skirts and go to schools and stuff. I mean, every day we're just watching our rights get taken away, and they're just trying to enslave us into their eugenics program. They have a ton of money. They think it's hilarious. They think it's funny. They're drugged up on drugs and adrenochrome. They're not feeling. They're going. I mean, they're just monsters. And they have a ton of money and a ton of resources, and they think it's hysterical. And Elon's got like 14 fucking kids. and everyone's his baby mama, and they're just, all they're doing is eugenics and organ harvesting and undocumented children and wreaking havoc, and we're just all sitting here, no one knows what to do. But
And many
so
people
I
are like
wanted,
cheering it on, you
yeah, oh
know?
yeah, that too. So I wanted to touch on that, and then I wanted to touch on, where I am getting some traction, where I am finding some resources and some things that are helping, like so being able to fight
Yeah.
Dargan.
Yeah, so let's talk about let's lay out what happened with Dargan again. And we don't have to dive as deep into it as we did the first time, but if you want to give an overview of how you met him, who he was, what happened that night, and then sort of some of the, what happened immediately after, and then let's dive into
Yeah,
what's
how
happening
I'm
now, the
navigating.
resources that you found, and let's really outline like what's happened the last couple years since you've been on.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I in 99, I was at a 1999, I was at a homecoming event at UCF, and Lenny
How old were
Kravitz,
you that year?
21,
Okay, so young.
20, 20, 21. So I was 21, and I transferred schools. I was at UCF. I'd gone to Florida State, and I transferred schools and was finishing up my studies at UCF in Orlando. And I went with my best friend at the time to the homecoming event. And we got up in the front. We were like in the front row of the Lenny Kravitz concert at the whatever arena we were at. And so we were waiting for the concert to start, and we were up at the front, and my friend started getting crushed by the gate there. There was the security gate there, and she was getting crushed. And there was a photographer down in the pit, and there was security down in the pit. And I called them, and I was like, hey, can you guys help? My friend is getting crushed against the chain link fence, all the people behind us. So they pulled her over, they pulled me over, and we were down in the pit. And this photographer was like, he started scouting me, and he was like, hey, you're really pretty. Have you ever done any modeling? And I was like, I have, but I'm not really into the modeling. And my dad does not encourage modeling. And I said, I'm more of a singer. And he was like, oh, well, I have a lot of connections. And he wanted to get my number and get my information. And my friend was over at the paramedics getting treated at the time because she ended up getting bruised rib cage from it all. So that photographer ended up being friends and a photographer with Donna Wright, who managed the Backstreet Boys. Her husband was Johnny Wright. He managed Britney Spears, NSYNC. This was what was his name? The big fat guy, Transcontinental. What was his name? Lou. He ripped them all off, and it was all exposed. He was sexually abusing people too, as well. And so it was their arena. It was their crew. So this was 99 and 2000. And so she was really no longer the manager of the Backstreet Boys. She was managing Pink at the time, and she was looking for more artists. So that photographer guy said, I've been talking to you, talking about you to Donna Wright, and she wants to hear you sing. And I was like, I'm really not a pop voice. I don't want to do pop. I don't like pop. I didn't like Britney Spears. I thought she was very sexual. Everything is just overtly sexual, very pedophilic, and then it's all geared to children. That's why I hated boys bands. It was just so gross. It was these adult boy band catering to preteens. Like I could always see it for what it was, and I wanted nothing to do with it. So I knew nothing about, like, I didn't really know who the Backstreet Boys and all that were. So Donna Wright invites me to come over to her house one day, and I sing for her, and she's like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I used to sing Disney stuff in high school. I used to tour and like dress up and as Disney characters and do high school stuff. I wanted to be a Disney voice. I used to want to sing to kids. I just wanted to protect them. I wanted to keep my eyes on them. Wanted to be a safe place for them. And she was like, okay, well, let me figure out where I can put you. Because she said, I have ties to Disney. Obviously, with Britney Spears and all that, she's got ties to Disney. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, now I'm interested that you've got these connections. So she calls me one day, and she's also looking for a secretary. She's looking for an executive assistant, which I had worked at a recording studio when I was in high school. So I was like, okay, I'm very well qualified. I applied for Burger King, and they told me I was overqualified. And yeah, they were like, you're an honor student, you take Latin. No, you're on the debate team. They're like, we'd have to hire you as a manager. And I was like, okay. And they're like, you can't be a manager. You're in high school, and you'd be the youngest person here. They're like, we can't hire you. So I was like really upset. I was like, oh, I can't believe I can't get a job. And then I got hired at this recording studio that was in the area. So it was a way better fit. So I knew how to run a studio. I knew how to do all this stuff. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, maybe I can be her personal assistant. And that way we can keep tabs, and I can maybe go up the ranks through that, staying close to her. So one day she calls me, or I was over at her house, I can't remember, but she told me that the Backstreet Boys were launching their comic book. Do you remember anything about this? Because it bombed.
No, I'm not. I don't
Stan
remember at
Lee,
all.
Stan Lee was involved. Nick Carter had come up with these comic book characters, and it was partnered through Burger King. And Stan Lee and Burger King and Backstreet Boys were coming together to release characters, comic book characters of their alter egos. You never
Oh,
heard of any of this? Oh,
no.
there's a little bit of it online. The event that I was at is online, thank God. And so she goes, what about if we have you go to this event? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think the thing is in there. Yeah, you can see February 2000. It says, yeah, yep, yep. There it is, August 27th, 2000. Is that is the date of the event that I was at. So they released the comic book that day. They were supposed to have a whole bunch of them, and it just flopped. The Backstreet Boys, only 3 of them showed up and even got off the bus that day. So they completely ruined it for me. The whole thing was this. It was supposed to be Say What Karaoke was there. Do you remember Say What Karaoke on MTV?
Yes. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. Yeah.
Say What Karaoke was there. It was Dave Holmes. And this was before he was even out of the closet. So he was like still pretending he wasn't gay. And it was Dave Holmes. And what Donna Wright set up was, okay, so she said, you're going to be a plant in the audience, and we're going to call up a rabid fan to sing a Backstreet Boys song for Say What Karaoke segment. And we're going to test the audience and see how they like your voice. So I had to pretend I was a rabid Backstreet Boy fan, which I'm not. Don't like them. I don't like their lifestyle. I don't like what they're doing. I don't like that they're enchanting children's groins to follow them willy-nilly off a cliff, with their money intact. So I had to depend on my roommate in college at the time. She was a rabid Backstreet Boy fan, NSYNC Backstreet Boys. So she was giving me a crash course on learning all these Backstreet Boy songs, because I think they were going to call one at random, and I had to know it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so fucked. I can't wait to see how this goes. So my best friend and I take her to this event, and we go to this event, and we're in the green room, and we're hanging out, and the Backstreet Boys are there, and Dave Holmes is there. And we go to take a picture with Dave Holmes, and it's me and my best friend, and it's Dave Holmes. And then this guy comes over, this gigantic guy comes over and puts his arm around my friend. And she looks at me, because this was my camera. And she looks at me, and I looked at her. I was like, who the fuck is that guy? And she goes, I don't know. She goes, I thought you knew him. And I was like, okay, we'll just take the picture. So he photobombs our picture. They take a picture, and then it's super busy at that point. And this is before digital. So these were, I think I would like a roll of film. And that's back when you only had 24 pictures. So you would run out of film. Yeah, there it is. Yep, that's the picture. Okay, so that's in Hard Rock Live at Universal Studios in Orlando. That's at Hard Rock Live. That's downstairs in one of the rooms. The person in the middle is Dave Holmes. Yep, so that is Dave Holmes. And then my friend's over to the right. So yeah, this guy comes over. It's supposed to be just the 3 of us. You can see it's even framed that way. And then he comes in and puts his arm around my friend, and we're just like, ew, what is happening? So then he walks off, and I look at Tiffany. Oh, I didn't mean to say her name.
I'll edit it out. Don't worry.
Okay, well, I won't give her whole name. But I said to her, I go, who's that guy? And she goes, oh, I figured you knew him. And he just photobombed our photo. And I was so annoyed by him. So then he walks off, and then everything starts getting busy. So we couldn't take another picture at the time. So we had to, at the after party, we took another picture. So I walk off over to the elevator, excuse me, because I've got to go get ready on stage. I've got to get ready for them to call me out and be the plant and everything. So I go out, I start to go over to the elevator because there's all these stairs. I've been to the Hard Rock so many times. I know the floor plan of the place. So there's the stairs that go up, or there's an elevator, and I'm handicapped. So I go over to the elevator and I'm waiting for the elevator, and that Dargan guy comes by and he barks and he goes up the stairs. He goes, follow me. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Like, what do you do? And I can get you some work. And he wanted me to like follow him like a little stray dog up the stairs, barked at me, like, come follow me. And I go, oh, I'm good. I'm going to take the elevator. I'm actually handicapped. Bye. And so I can't remember if he got in the elevator with me or what at that point, because everything was just so chaotic. I just wanted to get out on the stage. So I get out there and I go in the audience, and 3 of the Backstreet Boys come on the stage. And there's pictures of all of that too, I have on my website. They never even get in their uniforms. They're supposed to be in their costumes. They're supposed to be dressed as these characters, debuting these characters. It ends up 3 of them get up on stage. I can't remember who, because I don't even know who they are. I think it was Howie, Nick Carter, and I think AJ. And then the other 2 never got off the bus. And then they came on, performed. Those 3 came up and performed, and they never got out of their outfits. They never put their outfits on. So they were just singing in their street clothes. And I'm like, what is happening? Like they're bombing this. They ruined it. And they absolutely did. They ruined it. They had to cut my thing. They ended up cutting the Backstreet, but they ended up just performing a bunch of songs, and then they cut the Say What karaoke thing. They played the first episode of the comic book and then distributed comic books. It was like a private event too. And then so that was cut. So I was like really bummed. I can't tell you how many times men have ruined my opportunities, just completely ruined everything I worked for up until that point, taken away because of your ineptitude. So I get invited to the after party, and it's at Howie's, one of the Backstreet Boys club downtown Orlando. So he invites me to the after party, and he invited my friend and I. We both go, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can still salvage something, maybe I can get some work somewhere, because this was supposed to be a big deal. Like, my mom was so impressed that I found Donna Wright. She knew who she was. She's like, oh my God, I've been following Donna Wright forever. I'm so proud of you. Such a big opportunity. Oh yeah, my mom knew who Donna Wright was more than I did. So I go, so we go home, we freshen up, and then we go to the VIP after party, which it was at Howie's club. One of the Backstreet Boys owned a club in Orlando, downtown Orlando. And we were upstairs in the VIP section, and it's all roped off. And this guy Dargan shows up, and he's changed his clothes at this point. So he's not in that little shirt. So he's telling the courts he didn't even go to this party, which he's been identified at this party by my friend. She's a witness. So this guy Dargan shows up to the next event. He shows up at this VIP after party, I guess to stalk me and follow me, because I didn't invite him. And he's not in the VIP section. He keeps trying to get in. So he's over trying to buy drinks for the Backstreet Boys. And he calls me over, and I'm like, oh my God, leave me the fuck alone. Like, I'm trying to just hang out with my friend and hopefully make some real connections. And he goes, he tries to tell me that he's a talent manager and he can get me some work, and to come talk to him at the bar. And I was like, oh my God. So I tell my friend, I was like, okay, I'm going to go talk to him at the bar, see what he wants, and I'll be right back. So I leave her in the VIP section. I go over to the bar that's right over there with an eye shot of the VIP section. And Dargan starts buying drinks, and he goes, I'm going to buy them drinks. And I'm like, they own the club. Why are you buying drinks? What, like, it was his way of trying to buy himself into the VIP section, is what he was trying to do. So he tells me to go hand the drinks out like I'm his fucking waitress. And I go, I'm not your waitress. And I slam the drinks down, go back in the VIP. I leave him in a corner and just left him. He goes, distribute them. Like I'm his little flunky. So I go in there, I plop the drinks down and just leave them there. I don't even announce if anyone wants a drink, because if you want a drink, Nick Carter and the AJ, whoever, Howie owns the bar. They don't need your patronage to drink, sir. So, and then he comes up to me again from the outside area and he keeps trying to pull me away from him. And I'm talking to my friend and I'm like, oh my God, he's so fucking annoying. He won't leave me the fuck alone. And she's like, yeah, he's right behind you again. He won't leave you alone. So then he talks to me again. He goes, I think he said he had his business card or something down in his car and he wanted to talk to me. He wants to get me some work. And I'm like, fine, I will go listen to you. So I follow him down to his car. We get down to his car. He tries to take something out of the car. He talks about himself. He goes to give me a business card. And then I think he said it was like his only one. So that he wrote my name and information on it so that I didn't even get to keep it. And then I was giving him so much flack because I was not interested and I was just really short with him. I just thought it was very inappropriate. I could tell he liked me and that he was following me around and it was incredibly creepy. And he goes, I could see myself marrying you. And I'm like, oh my God, red flag. And I'm like, ew, like, why? Because I don't like you. You could see yourself marrying me. Like, go get a fucking hobby, dude. Go get some therapy. So then I try to leave, but we're talking at that point. He tells me that he can get me work. He says he hires Grammy Award winning artists all the time. And I'm like, I'm not a fucking Grammy Award winning artist. I said, I sing the national anthem, dude. I was like, I dress as Disney characters and sing. He was like, well, I can get you work. I have, I can do all of that. And I was like, all right, cool. And then so he says he wants to take me out to dinner and we can discuss it over dinner. And I was like, oh, of course. So he goes, I think he left at that point, and then I go back and I find my friend. And during this time, John Stamos has hit on her and propositioned her for sex. And yeah, so I come up and she goes, you're never going to believe this. And she knows me as Skye. And that's another thing too. Dargan keeps calling me Molly, and I didn't even go by that fucking name at the time. So he's trying to say he knew me before the event, that I was not there to sing, that I was not there for work, that he gave me tickets, but he doesn't know me. I mean, he's so fucked. That's what I want to say. Survivors, if you can, go after them. Their lives fall apart and the truth makes sense. God is the truth. The truth is God. The only thing that is real is the truth, and that is God, and the truth will set us free. And his lies, he has not said a word. In 20 something years, I have never known his side of the story, what he told anybody. I just spoke up to the point where he had to identify the bed he raped me on because I described it in such insane detail. He can't lie about it. His wife obviously knows about the bed, and why the fuck would I know about his bed? He's trying to say he described it to me. I could draw it. Emma, if I described my bed to you, do you think you could draw it intricately, accurately, the direction it's facing, what's at the foot of the bed?
No, not unless like you literally walked me through every single little tiny detail. Like I wouldn't remember all of that.
He's trying to say we spoke like once, never on the phone though. He's saying at the event he was telling me about remodeling his house. So he's trying to say he gave me VIP experience tickets. We never spoke afterwards. It was not work related. And so the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund is helping me fight him. They are paying for my legal defense. And
can you say that name again of the organization?
Time's Up Legal Defense Fund. And that's with the National Women's Law Center. They are helping me go after him because it is work related. So anyone who has been workplace harassed, workplace raped, stalked, fired, retaliated, any of this stuff, Time's Up Legal Defense Fund is there for you. That particular one. So unfortunately, it is not there for you if your boyfriend trafficked you, unless it was work related and you could prove that it was facilitated through work. That is, this Time's Up it came from the Harvey Weinstein movement. It was the Hollywood Time's Up. It's supposed to combat industry abuse, sexual abuse in the work industry, which is so pervasive in the entertainment industry. Like, I don't have to be trafficked to be a CPA most of the time. But apparently, to do any kind of singing work, I got to have dicks coming out of my ears. So they help with that. Time's Up Legal Defense Fund is helping me be able to fight back. They have made it so that I have a leg to stand on. I am so grateful I found them. I'm so grateful I reached out to them. My original attorney would not apply. I had to fire him. He would not apply to them. He ended up costing me a lot of problems because I think he was honestly trying to help them. He used to work for the other people's law firm. So I think he was not trying to help me because I had to work with God, and God was like, fight, fight, take it down. He's got an injunction against you, rip it to shreds. Whereas the attorney was like, no, why don't we just leave it? No, fire coming through me. I could literally feel no just radiate outside me. It's like the Holy Spirit. It's like God just comes through me, and every fiber of my being knows no, wrong, no. One of my favorite words is no, and it fucking pisses off the other side. I said, no, we're ripping it to shreds. Had he gotten that injunction all the way through and left it, first of all, I got $10,000 awarded to me because that injunction was illegal. So he had to pay $10,000 of a bond that he had to put up because he was saying that I was lying and he could prove it. He couldn't prove shit. He can't prove shit. He's the liar, and he keeps proving himself the liar over and over and over, committing perjury to the point where I'm going to go get him for malicious prosecution next. So go for it. Go after them. I know it's so scary, but try to find other survivors that are fighting and winning. Try to be in their orbit so that you feel their safety, that you feel their... It's the law of relativity. If someone else can do it, you can too. And it sets us free. And I want to be that beacon of hope for some people, because I know some of these agencies, Ghislane Maxwell's on the board. So it's scary. I went with Rain to DC last year on my own nickel. I had to pay over $1,000 to fly there, stay there. Yes, just so I could testify and speak to push legislation that protects whistleblowers, survivors, victims, that we get trauma-informed training. And I mean, I was told even by Rain, they're like, keep your story short. It's kind of overwhelming and complex. And I'm like, oh, you mean that I was trafficked to the president's party with Epstein? Yeah, it is pretty complex. And I guess I should keep it down. I had a massive panic attack there. I got to DC and I just, oh my God, I was like, oh, this is the fucking Mecca headquarters of Freemasonry fuckery. And here I am just like, oh no, I'm safe. Let's go get a fucking hot dog. I gotta laugh. I have to. It's insane.
You have to, or we're gonna go crazy.
I have to say the funniest things. I mean, Jesus is the funniest shit to me. So just,
Well, that's one thing that I love about, like, you always find the silver lining and stuff, and you hold on to it for dear life, and it can be so hard. Sometimes, like, I can tell, like, you might only be holding on by like a little thread of that silver lining.
Golden, like, divine thread, right?
But that's all that you'll hold on to, and like you will not let go. And it's so fucking inspiring, like watching you just relentlessly attack this guy. Like this guy probably like pegged you as like, oh, she's just gonna be this like quiet, submissive girl. Like she's not gonna ever do anything. My secret's gonna be safe. Never gonna speak up.
Yeah.
And he picked the wrong girl.
Well, I had to wait for the window. I wanted to speak up long ago. So one of the things he said in the deposition, and he said my AOL address, which we'd never spoken online. And I was like, how the fuck do you know my old AOL? And I was like, the only way you'd know that is I likely went off on your ass. And that's why you remember it, because it's irrelevant. So he's trying to say I met him on AOL, a man 10 years older than me. I met on AOL. I was the aggressor. It wasn't work related. It wasn't singing related. What? He's just saying that I started talking to him. He gave me VIP tickets to the Backstreet Boys event for me and my friend. And then we never spoke again afterwards. And he described his bed, which I can draw.
And I want to show too, if you want to, you don't have to like go into detail about the night, but can you share about, so you ended up going to dinner, or you thought you were going to, you ended up wanting to pursue that. You were so hungry just for like somebody to recognize.
That's the industry. So it's hard to be like, no, that's inappropriate.
Exactly. And dinner, like you probably thought, well,
I thought we were going to private
or a public place. There's going to be people around. Like I should be totally
so I'm willing to take my chances. Right. And this is the industry. I mean, I had gone to dinner before in my childhood, in my teen years, and that did not go well either. But my parents were like, oh yeah, no, that's the industry. You got to trust your children with adults, and they, hopefully they come home in one piece. And I remember when I did this in high school, my dad was like, Molly, take my Porsche, because I don't want these motherfuckers thinking they can get anything by us. That if he tries to pull anything on you, that I've got a shovel and a shotgun and I will handle business. And I was like, thank you, Daddy. I will definitely take your Porsche. That sounds fun. And then that ended badly too, but it didn't end as badly. Thank God. I was assaulted though. I was a minor, and I have since hired Tony Busby to go after that motherfucker, by the way.
Go girl. Yes.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Tony Busby works out. I mean, part of me is like, oh, maybe he'll help us sue the government. And then I'm like, ah, shit, he's donated to Trump.
I know it's so
Yeah.
hard to know, but having people just have eyes on it and being able to get your case heard is huge by
Yes,
anybody,
that's why I keep pursuing. I mean, I went to Aldred, Gloria Allred, or whatever her name is. I mean, there a lot of them are within the network too.
Right.
They're network attorneys. So
Right.
they're only going to let you get as far as they want you. And then it's for them, it's their clout, it's their spinning, it's their buck that they're making because they make 30 to 40% off each case. If it's pro bono, if they're doing it on a contingency without you paying. So attorneys usually get anywhere from $300 to sometimes like $1,500 an hour. How the fuck are you supposed to pay that? Like, are you serious? Everything was ripped from me, my education, my career, but I'm supposed to, in order to play the game, come up with like $100,000 just to defend myself, to speak up. So the Me Too movement made me feel safe. I thought that, oh, we could speak up. They're encouraging us to speak up. Oh my God, they're going to speak up. And then my husband and I flew to New York. I think it was in 2017. And the Women's March was like at our feet. And it was like, what are you doing to me? Are we going to be able to speak? Are we going to get justice? Because I had been speaking since I was 9 and no one did anything. I just kept getting hurt and getting rehurt and rehurt and rehurt and silenced and drugged and not going well. And the Me Too movement was there, and I came home and I was like, oh my God, are we going to be able to talk about this? And then by 2019, 2020, I was really working on getting my story out there. I was working with Melissa Jesperson. Her dad was a serial killer, and she was helping me with getting my voice out there and getting my story and finding out what my whole story even is and outlining the whole thing. And then you realize you think this is your story. And then you're like, fuck, all that is your story. And then it was just like, it was so overwhelming. So then I had all of these pieces I had to go through with like therapy, like the Dargan thing. I had never even told anyone about the Dargan thing because I washed off the evidence. I didn't want anyone to force me to report, then become a target because I didn't have my evidence. I didn't want to get targeted. And I very much wanted to tell on this guy. So for him to have my AOL address, yep, that's the house. And I have described it repeatedly. Those are the steps. I thought it was a 2-story house because he had to help me up and down those steps. There's no banister. There's nothing for me to hold on to. He had to help me up and out of the house. So after he raped me, he had to help me out of the house because I had my back spasmed from him raping me and holding me down and pinning me down on the bed. But if you go into that house and go up those steps and go over to the left, that's the exact floor plan it's exactly what I said. I said, it's a cobblestone street. We parallel parked right in front of the house. I came up the middle walk here. There was a driveway to the right that he didn't park in. That's why I kind of thought it was a restaurant. I wasn't sure what it was because we were in this historic district. And I know they converted a bunch of them into shops and restaurants and all this stuff. So I was like, maybe we're at the restaurant.
And he had picked you up, right? So
He
you
had
were
picked me up.
yeah.
I thought we were going straight to dinner. And this is the house that he clearly owned at the time too. All records show that he owned it and lived there at the time too. So it's absolutely confirmed that this is the house and the floor plan, everything I've said. And so there's the bedroom, there's the desk at the foot of the bed. So it was a different bed there at the time. It was a giant ornate bed that he said a king owned. It had a half moon wood canopy with drapery. It was all whittled and he raped me right almost at that window. I was on that side of the bed because the bed foot frame, I have not seen a picture of the bed either since the day I was raped. And yet I still remember I couldn't sit on the edge or else I would have been sitting on that bed. So yes, I sat over there facing the window basically because I didn't know what he was doing. He lured me into the house. Okay, he picks me up and we start driving and he's asking me about school and I think he was asking me about singing. I can't really remember. And then we pulled up to this house. And like I said, I thought maybe it was the restaurant or something. And he turned off the car and he goes, I got to take care of some business real quick. It'll take about 20 minutes. And I go, oh, okay. Well, then I'll wait in the car. And because I'm handicapped, I said, okay, I'll wait in the car. And so he turns off the car and he goes, no, you can wait inside. And this is Florida where it was like September. So it was hot still. Beginning of September, it is very hot still. So he turns off the car and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I get out of the car and I go down that walkway and go up the stairs and he has to help me in the house. He's walking ahead of me and I was like, I can't do these stairs. I'm handicapped. So he had to take my hand, help me up those stairs. And we come in and immediately we're in a house. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why are we here? And he offers me a glass of wine and I go, no, thank you. And then he goes, well, I've got to take care of something in the office. He goes, you can wait in there. And I go, I'll wait right here. And he goes, you can wait in my office. And I'm thinking I'm going into an actual office, not a bedroom, nothing in a bed. So we go down that hallway and he opens his door. He's walking backwards facing me. And then he gets to the door and he goes, I want to show you the bed. Because he was telling me on the phone about this bed, that he had bought this bed, a king owned. It was like $10,000 or $20,000. And I was like, round of a fucking applause. I don't fucking care. What about this makes you think I'm into antique furniture or give a fuck about your life, sir? Like, I'm trying to graduate college and get a job. Why the fuck do I care about your furniture endeavors? So I'm just like, okay, cool. I don't know why I'm about to see your bed. So the room's tiny. If you can see that picture, the room's tiny. So he opens the door and I freeze in the doorway and he goes in and immediately goes over to that desk and turns the computer on. And I'm standing in the doorway and I tell him, I go, this is incredibly inappropriate. And I go, I'm not coming in here. So he goes over, you can see the room's very tiny. He goes over to the desk there and starts turning on a computer. And there's the bathroom there. And then so the door is like basically on the other side of the window. So just basically the other side of the room is the door. So that's where I'm standing, is basically at the foot of the bed in the door frame. It's a tiny little room. And I go, I'm not going in here. And I told him, I said, I was sexually abused as a child. I told him I was molested as a child. He was really freaking me out, and that I had been lured into a man's room who raped me when I was 9. And I told him this was giving vibes of that. It was freaking me out. And his famous last words were, you can trust me. I'm not going to hurt you. You can trust me. And then he used my handicap against me. He goes, it's an orthopedic mattress. So sit down because I know you're handicapped. There was nowhere else to sit. There's that little chair at the desk, which he says he's doing work. Well, I'm not going to sit at your desk. So I go over and I sit in front of that window basically. And I like sit and like, just, okay. And then he comes over and just attacked me, yanked my pants off, pinned me down. He started getting on top of me and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was trying to push him off me and he just doop with one big hand.
And he was very big. You could see in that picture in comparison to you, you were like you're a smaller girl, you're tough, but like this guy's huge and he's like
I'm 5'7".
He's big.
I'm 5'7" and I probably had heels on. And I was not expecting visitors. I remember that night. I did not shave. I had pants on. I had a long sleeve blouse. I was not showing anything because I did not want to lead this guy on. I was not even interested in him. And so he turned on that computer on and off around it and he raped me and he was kissing my tears while I was crying. He told me I was beautiful while I was crying, while he was raping me. And then he said he was almost done and he put his thumb in my mouth and I pushed it out with my tongue and clamped it down. I wish I had bitten his fucking thumb off and throw it in his mouth, but I was afraid he was going to punch me in the face and just kill me. So I wanted to make it home. I wanted to get out of there. I didn't want to die like that. And I'm just glad he didn't drug me because I think he would have kept me there for a long weekend. And I think that's what they're trying to do is video it so it looks drugged and complicit, because when you're drugged, it's euphoric. So then you look complicit. You don't really look like you're fighting it. You look like you're just trying to get through it and orgasm because you're in a fog. So he wasn't able to drug me. So it was very much rape. And I was remember thinking, if he's recording this, it's rape. You can tell it's rape. I'm crying. I'm saying, no, I'm pushing you off of me and you're holding me down. So I push his thumb out of my mouth and I bite my teeth down to get it closed. And that he climaxes at that point. He takes himself out of me and he climaxes and ejaculates all over me. And I'm just laying there. I'm stuck on the bed at that point and I am staring at the ceiling and I'm just like, freaked out and in a tunnel vision. And he goes off to my left and he goes over and I think he's going to the bathroom because you can see the desk and the bathroom are right next to each other. So I'm thinking, okay, he's got to be going in the bathroom. He's got to be getting me some tissues and he's going to apologize and explain himself. He's going to say he couldn't control himself. He's so sorry, blah, 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 blah. He's going to say something. He's going to, and I look over, like a minute or two goes by and I'm like, where the fuck, why does it take so long to get toilet paper? And I look over and his pants are around his ankles still. He's bent over turning the computer off. His giant ass, his hairy crack, bent over. It was so disgusting. And his pants are around his ankle and he's turning it down. And I start wailing at that point. Woo! I just start wailing. And he goes, something came up. I have to reschedule. You have to go. Get up. We have to reschedule. I'm going to bring you home and we have to reschedule dinner. And I go, I can't move. I go, I told you I'm handicapped. I told you I cannot be treated like this. I told you repeatedly I am handicapped. And I said, I am locked. I said, my hips are locked. I said, I need you to help me up. So he comes over and I told him to go get some tissue. I go get some tissue and clean me off. So he goes over and gets some tissue. And I can't remember if he cleaned me off or I cleaned me off, and then he helped me up. I said, I need you to help me up. I can't move. Like I'm locked. My hips are locked. My discs slip. I have EDS, which is hyperflexibility and loose joints. I've had both my hips replaced. I've had my knee reconstructed. I was in traction as a child. I was in experimental surgeries as a child. 18 months old, I was in traction and a half full body cast. And then again, at 3 years old, I had another surgery and another body cast. And he just manhandled me. And also he didn't batter me. Thankfully, it didn't get worse than that. That's why I didn't fight him. I learned when I was 9 not to fight because that guy almost killed me repeatedly, kept choking me out. And then I'd come to, and that was terrifying to lose consciousness over and over like that. So I just learned not to fight, just survive. And I had survived so many others by this point too. He was the worst. Dargan was the scariest and the worst. The first one was the scariest and the worst. And then he was the scariest and the worst again. Because he ended my career. He ended my education. He ended my autonomy. I no longer felt safe just being me. I rushed into a marriage so that I had someone protecting me and someone who cared, and ended up getting divorced from that person. And I've been with my wonderful husband for over 20 years now. And he's madly in love with me and I'm madly in love with him. And we're a team and he believes me and he is my advocate and my witness. And I mean, that's another thing too. I get so far because the system is rigged. You have to have like an advocate. And that's why I try to be for people. I try to be the advocate that if you need to go to the hospital and file a report, I'll go with you and I'll fucking stare those motherfuckers down and make sure that they are treating you seriously, and I will educate their asses. I mean, I've had everything thrown at me, and you just got to keep going. You've got to keep going. It's only going to get worse if we don't.
It's so horrific that that happened to you. And that's one of the common things when, men hear these stories, or just when like a victim or survivor comes forward, people say, well, why didn't you fight? Why didn't you get them off of you? Like, what were you wearing? And it's like,
I pray that they're getting raped so badly and they can figure out why they're not doing the thing.
Yeah, it's like there's such a disconnect on like abuse, where people think that like these are not psychotic, manipulative people that
your body is going to gauge your survivability and kick into survivor mode and what that means to your body. It's not your brain going, hey, Molly, let's do XYZ. It's reaction. Okay. If a dog is scared, it defecates and pisses itself so it can run away faster. Do you think it's going, should we have shit and pissed? No, your body is going to do whatever it needs to do in that moment. It's going to fawn. It's going to fight. It's going to see, is it safe to fight? Is it safe to run? Do I have to placate? Do I have to fawn? Do I have to fake I'm dead? You're going to do whatever works in that moment. And you're not going to know what it is until you are retelling your story one day.
Exactly. And if a man can rape a woman in his own home who he just met, said he's taking a dinner, he lied and abducted her, what else would he do and be willing to do if she started fighting? Like that is a,
Right.
and you don't have your phone on you at that moment. You don't
Yeah,
have people around. Like there's nobody that you can like,
nothing.
there's nobody in the home. Like you are
This is
all alone
2000.
with this man in a
Yeah.
completely, and he knows the environment like the back of his hand. It's his
And I
home.
had just moved to the area, not just like a year or so before. So I really didn't know the area. And he like grew up in it. He was 10 years my senior, a business person. And
Big
I
guy.
was willing to go to the police and do all this stuff. But I got home and all I wanted to do was get his cum off of me. All I wanted to do was self-care and just feel clean. And then I was going to go take care of business. So I immediately got in the shower when I got home. My roommates were not home. I had a male and a female roommate. But I had my dog and I had a husky. So I felt safe with him that if anything was going to happen, he was going to bark. It was early enough in the evening that it wasn't like in the middle of the night that I was feeling freaked out, that I was like, I'm calling the police. The phone was right next to me in the shower. I was going to call the police, but I wanted to shower first. I knew that I was going to have to go to the hospital and I was going to be touched and violated again, and they're going to try to collect evidence. And I just wanted to shower before I had to endure hours of sitting in that man's semen. So I self-cared, I showered, and then I got out of the shower and I got online to go see what to do. And it said, don't fucking shower. And I wanted to die. I went into a deep, deep depression that weekend. I didn't leave my room. I didn't leave my bedroom. And I think that's when I reached out to him at some point and through AOL, told him he was a fucking rapist and that he's never going to get away with this. And he started calling me. So he called me the next day and I was like, oh my God, that's fucking terrifying. So it was Saturday. He calls me Saturday and I see him on the caller ID and I don't answer. And he doesn't leave a voicemail. And I'm like, what the fuck? You're insane. So then Sunday comes around and he calls and he leaves a voicemail and he goes, if you expect to work on Monday, you better answer your phone when I call. And I'm like, first of all, I never even sang for you. What work am I getting? What the fuck? Why do you think I would take work from you? But that's what made me think he's done this before. And he thinks he got away with it, although the blackmail he recorded is clear rape. So he could never use it. He could never send it to my family. He could never hold it against me. And he said, if he ever uploaded it, it is rape. 100% rape. I have Googled it 100 million times. King bed, fat ass walrus raping a model, whatever I could think of to see if it could come up that I could use it as evidence against him. So so he calls again after he leaves that voicemail. He calls again and I answer the phone and he goes, or he didn't even speak. I answer the phone and I go, if you fucking call me again, I will call the police. I go, you are a fucking psychopath. If you ever call me again, I will call the police. And I hung up on him. And that was the last time I ever spoke to him, unless it was through AOL, because I think I did find him on AOL. And his story doesn't even make any sense. So for him to be like, oh, I found you on AOL and we never spoke again and we have no records, but 25 years later, you remember my handle and I was so insignificant, you didn't know who I was. Like, I don't even remember his handle. And I think I reached out to him saying, you're a piece of shit stalker. You're a rapist. And I think he must have printed that out. That's why he's like, oh, I remember your AOL address. Because I haven't had it in 20 something years. I haven't had it since college. And he keeps referring to me as Molly. And I went by my middle name at the time, Skye, because I was pursuing showbiz. And that was the name I was going by. So that's that in a nutshell. And then I spoke up. I confronted him. God was like, speak. And I was like, you're crazy. And so I did anyway.
What year? What year was that you spoke?
2019,
Okay.
2020 is when I was recording my podcast. And I could just hear God was saying, tell your story before anyone else tries to tell it for you. Tell your story before someone deliberately twists it or accidentally twists it. Because I've been in the media too since speaking up after my podcast, and they would twist all sorts of stuff and then piss off Maria Farmer because of the one little thing they said. And it's just like, oh my God, you're starting a survivor war when they don't care. They don't care about us getting justice. They want articles looked at, and they're not even greatly written articles. Those articles that came out about me when Ghislane Maxwell and all this stuff was coming out, they never even let me vet them. They never said, here's the article. Let's make sure it's all correct. So it's just really sloppy news. So God was like, record your own story. You know how to self-produce. You know how to speak. you're a speaker. I was on the debate team. I did speech, journalism, debate team. I was the TV school anchor. I did the school newspaper, War Cry. I did it in college too. So God was just like, you know how to do it all. You have the skills. Show me that you're listening now that I'm telling you to speak up, and you have the resources and you can to do it. And I did. I was disciplined. I sat here and I experimented, and I made a theme that I liked, and I made an intro that I felt like I liked, and it was with Jesus, and it's let's be frank. And that's the only way I felt safe, was telling my story with Jesus, because he's the only one that has gotten me through it. And he was there with me as a kid, and he's been there for me. And I've had wild experiences with his presence and his energy, and so much evil is done in his name that he is responsible for, also that he's trying to help us all transcend. So I was recording my podcast, and I was like, okay, I don't want it to just all be about me. So I'd record an episode about me, and then I'd interview someone, and I'd give someone a space to talk, whether they were a victim or they were in the healing space, whatever they wanted to share their story. So I just started telling my story. And episode 9 of my podcast, I named every single one of my abusers, but I didn't say their names. So it was the first time I talked about Dargan. It was the first time I talked about some of the other abusers too, where I told the whole experience, but I didn't name names. And then Dargan wanted to sue me. So in September of 2020, it's so random. September is when he raped me. And yet September of 2020, I knew to confront him. My energy still knew the anniversary of this shit. And I reached out to him and said, I'm not keeping your secret any longer. I'm speaking up. I'm naming names. And I sent him some of the news articles, like what you just put up with the Ghislane Maxwell, to take me seriously. But I'm speaking up. I'm being taken seriously. I'm getting traction. You should be afraid. And he ignored it and had his wife block me, had his wife block my husband. So I was like, oh, that's very interesting. So I found a way to reach out to her and told her everything. Because I said, I told Dargan, I said, I'm going to speak up. I'm naming names. And so he's tried, I mean, he's just lied so many times. It's comical at this point. And I just can't wait to finish winning. And I told my therapist like a year ago, I was like, I feel like a horse. I'm just chomping at the bit, waiting for the fucking race to start.
And so what were some of the trials, like not trials in court, but what were some of like the trials and tribulations that you have faced as a whistleblower? Because I think it's important people know that like it's not just kind of like this easy thing. Like you've been fighting for a few years now and
decades. And then on
decades.
top of it, yeah,
You've been,
actively as
yeah,
an advocate whistleblower for several years now.
yes.
It has been scary because it makes you another target. It's hard to do if you are all alone, which I'm not all alone. I have a decent support system, so I'm able to get quite a bit done and speak and connect with others and feel strong and empowered. I have been retaliated, sued, gang stalked, targeted by creeps. You remember, I'm not even going to give him the fucking satisfaction of saying his name, but you remember RA, that's all I'll say. The Hollywood fixer guy. That was just, there are so many pieces of shit that will take a buck to try to, I mean, one of the reasons I won't leave my house is I wouldn't put it past Dargan to give someone $50 to kill me. I have cameras everywhere. I don't leave my house. I have learned how to survive and thrive in this extreme condition. I can make a way through online. My husband makes a fantastic living. He and I get to work together. God has made it so that we work together often. I have a safe network that I can get some work through. I do production. My husband does production. I've known production since I was a child, performing since kindergarten. So ways have been made, but it has been terrifying. Like I said, I have video cameras. I have a Ring camera. I have security systems. I have VPN. I have my website lets me know when someone's on it and where they're from. So I know when Dargan's on there, I know when creeps are on there, and I take screenshots of it. So the thing is we've got to really build that covenant with God, listen and take action. And if you think you're hearing from the devil, then you're giving the devil way too much fucking credit. If you think you're hearing from the devil and you don't want to help the devil, then you're already helping the devil, because you're saying the devil's louder than God. So if you think you're hearing from the devil, then tune it. Say, okay, maybe God's trying to get me killed and it's terrifying. Or maybe God is saying, you got to be bold. And silence is how these people thrive. Silence is how they have gotten away with all of this because it has ruined his life since I spoke up.
It
I have
has.
seen the after effects of my work. I've been looking through the evidence and I'm like, go Molly, go Molly, go Molly. I fucking love you. When I attack him, so he would just disappear from court. He just hold me up for years in court, not show up for a whole year. So, and then his side's probably thinking, oh, she's doing this. So that's when I would post online, Dargan, show up for your fucking deposition. Dargan, go lie in court so we can get it recorded already. Dargan, show up for court. Dargan, quit stalling. And then I'll take those screenshots and send it to the mayor and send it to his wife, send it to his dad, send it to business contacts, send it to anything I can find because he gets government contacts all the time. I was finally able to protest him in December. It was absolutely terrifying and liberating and amazing. I went alone other than with my husband and son. No one helped me. No one accompanied me. I tried to rally feminist groups, all sorts of organizations. No one would come with me. So it was just me and my Xerox copies. And I handed out and I told my horror story to anyone who would listen. And I was allowed to be there. I got clearance to be there. Just try to do it by the book. So, because they're going to try to get you for anything. And I don't want to scare you. You've got to try to live your life like it's a video game that you're programmed to win. But that there's going to be obstacles. If you're going to play a video game, it's going to be pretty boring if it's just one straight line and there's the end, right? So you got to look at it as an actual video game with obstacles. It's God's video game, okay? And we have to get through it. We have to get to the other side. We have to transcend the obstacles. We have to flip the tables. And it's not going to be one easy straight line because no one would ever fucking pick that video game if it existed. Are you going to go to a store and be like, oh my God, you win in one move? Sign me up. No. We have to treat it like it's an actual game that God is like, you got this. And it's hard. And it's going to be amazing. And you're going to transcend earth. And now is the time. It's the second coming. It's the book of Revelation. It's all of these things, which are all should be very hopeful things. Those should all be very hopeful things, but they're not because they're twisting it because they know what you believe you perceive, right? Whatever the collective believes, that's why they want a one world order. Whatever we believe as a collective is our reality. So if we all believe we are doomed, it is the end, we're going to manifest that and we're going to allow them to have that ending when that's not what's written. What's written is it's their end. The meek inherit the kingdom, and the kingdom is earth. A lot of people are told by the satanic network or they are misinterpreting their religion, mind control bullshit that was flung at them. But we are meant to transcend it. The book of Revelation says that we win. It does not say the earth ends and that the wicked stay and that we all have to die in order for it to end. It's not what it says at all. It says that God is going to bring everyone in rapture, and people are like, oh, that means death. Why would God kill his people when he could kill the bad guys? Why would he kill his people? Who has earth then? Like, it doesn't make sense. Listen to the prophecy. The prophecy is the meek inherit the kingdom. The kingdom is earth. It literally says in the Bible, the meek inherit the earth. That means we win. And if we don't believe that, then we are literally handing it to evil to prolong. And that's what they want us to believe. They want us to believe that we don't know the truth. And the truth is, we've already won. The meek inherit. We are anointed. We have so much more good karmic energy than they do that we are echelons in front of them. Right. Right. So know that your good karma far exceeds their bad karma. You have favor with God. They don't. They're on the chopping block. But they want us to believe, because we have the good karma. They want us to believe that they are going to win and we are going to fail. So that's their last, it's their last black magic trick. And it's all they have. And that's why it's erupting like the most nastiest pimple you've ever seen. It's just
A good metaphor.
nonstop pus coming out. Yeah, it's just
And you're right. And that's why, like you said, they need all of us on board with that in some way, with like a one world government, with all the propaganda, because they know that that's not like a natural belief system for us. They have to literally like repeat
They
it for
have to have us
decades and
live in
decades
fear.
and decades in
Right.
order for
We're
it to
not supposed to
become
be
real.
living in fear. The whole point of the Bible is to step outside fear. It's all it's trying to say. That's all it's trying to say with its horrible stories that no one ever understands what the fuck we're getting at, other than be brave. Don't let fear fuck you up. And the devil just wants you to be afraid. And you got to understand too, God made the devil too. Understand God made everything. This is the game we're in, okay? So God made the devil. What does that mean? Other than God wants us to win and that the devil is defeatable. I mean, that's all I want. I just want to bring hope to people. Jesus brought me so much hope. I was so mad at him, especially when he showed up again in 2015. I was like, where the fuck have you been? And he said, I've been here the whole time. You turned around. And he fucking called me out because that was absolutely true. I turned my back on my faith because it made no sense. It was painful. God killed his son, and we still live in this horrible, wretched planet, and kids are being raped and trafficked, and like I can't deal with this. And that's why I'm trying so hard now. You know, whether you believe in reincarnation again, I don't want to come back here without things fixed. What if we're doomed to come back here forever and I'm complacent and then come right back into this? This is why I fight. I fight for future me. What if we all have to come back here? I just, this place, we've got to transcend it. And there is some hope out there. And my site, mollyskybrown.com, I have resources on there that I have vetted. I have screamed at just about everyone on this planet. I have gone down paths and called them out if they are not helping or if they're gatekeeping or whatever it is. And then I've got some resources on here. Yeah, there's my site. Empowering whistleblowers. So if you go to the top right, it says resources. Otherwise, it's just my blog. And I write about all of my abusers and stuff. But these are organizations that have helped me. These are things that I have found good stuff with. Rain, I'm a little freaked out about only because obviously, you know, anything that has any authority to get shit done, you've got to wonder who's on board because it's all who's allowing certain things to get done. So Rain for me is a little bit of a red flag. Rain is the first place I ever learned about rape. Tori Amos, when I was in high school, was the first person I ever heard talking about rape. And I was already a survivor at that point. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not invisible anymore. Someone's talking about something that I have felt invisible over. And then I learned about RAIN and that organization. The problem is the organization is run by a man, and I never trust that. And on top of it, I don't believe he's a survivor either. And I want to believe people have good intentions, but it's weird. And I think a lot of things need to be survivor led. And then on top of it, if you listen to Tori Amos's lyrics, it sounds like she was trafficked through her family. It sounds like her mother was trafficking her, and it was satanic abuse. So she's got that song "Me and a Gun," and that's one rape when there's a million other songs that she has. It sounds like she's being trafficked and drugged and raped. And so I have a very hard time with RAIN. And then I joined their speakers bureau, and that has not been great either. I got hired to do some speaking, and they dropped the ball, and it was incredibly triggering. And then they acted like I was the problem. So it's just all, we still just need things to be survivor led. Rise is survivor led. That's the Justice Labs. That's very cool. She is teaching survivors how to write legislation and get it passed. And you can get it passed on your own. So a lot of that stuff is gate kept. I've been learning how to get legislations written and passed. ChatGPT has written me phenomenal legislations that I'm working to get passed. Whistleblower legislations. I'm trying to get it enacted so that you can only be sued by your predator if he has won in criminal court proving that you are a liar. Otherwise, they're skipping that step, and it's retaliatory, and it's predatory. I mean, he's maliciously prosecuting me. He has weaponized the court system at my expense. And it's allowed. So once I finish winning this step, I will have more authority to be able to get more shit passed. But then look at this administration. You think they're going to, Trump just had the fucking rapist MMA dude there for St. Patrick's Day. Like Conor McGregor saying that you're my favorite Irish man. And it's just like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go get legislation passed in this climate. So it just sucks. Time's Up is who's helping me. If it is employment abuse, they can help. Entertainment industry, trafficking through work, any of that, they can help with that. And then they also offer storytelling assistance, which is what I will be getting shortly. They haven't been using it yet because they don't want to give Dargan more ammunition of losing work, because he's trying to say that he's lost work, not by his actions, but by mine. So they're waiting on the storytelling assistance. They were just trying to not make it worse, but that sucked. I've been waiting 4 years for storytelling assistance, which I should be getting. So these are some of the problems that we're up against. And these are the only things that I have found that are helping.
I love that you created this. I get asked that so much, like who is out there like actually making a difference? And it's really difficult to answer that because most of
A
the
lot of them are
people,
traps.
yes.
Well, a lot of them are just keeping tabs. A lot of them are Clinton backed. I mean, it's so hard. There's so many people involved.
Well, and like you said, like there's ways to put a public front on something to where it looks good, but most people don't research like you have, who is this owner? What is their backstory? What is their motivation for doing this? What is their intention? Where's the
I
money
was very
going?
naive at first. I had other survivors bring it to my attention. So I'm very grateful that they were like, look, this is connected to this. They're on this organization. They're helping these other bad people. Like even Time's Up at the beginning was helping bad guys. They had to reorganize because they were originally having the money was taken, and they were helping Cuomo, who Cuomo was a sexual predator at the time. So they had to restructure because the head of Time's Up, the organizing parties, the president and all that stuff, was found to be like corrupt. And they got all this money donated. And the problem is a lot of these are fronts. They get all these donations. Look at the ASPCA. The CEO of the ASPCA, which is a non-for-profit organization, these are the horrendous ads we see every single day of please donate, this animal's starving and horrible things are happening and we need your money, otherwise this is going to continue. The CEO gets $1 million a year he gives himself. And then we got victims who can't get Social Security disability, but their gatekeeper gets a salary. The person who's denying them gets a salary. Like, it's so backwards.
Absolutely. I gauge that a lot. Like when people even ask me about, say, a politician or an administration or somebody, a Tim Ballard or somebody just kind of in that like
Oh my
authoritarian
God, Tim
position, looked at
Ballard.
like a leader. And I just say like, go online and Google survivors speaking out that this person has helped. And you let me
Yeah,
know. Go through my
you didn't
podcast
find any.
library and look at if that person came up even once. And most of the time, these people that are advocating that they're helping have never come up in any survivor whistleblower testimonies as being helpful.
Right,
Most of the time, it's the opposite. Emma, I have reached
right.
out to the Trump administration 5 times, didn't hear anything. I have reached out to this influencer. I have reached out to this nonprofit owner. They do not help me. And so
No.
that is where my
Or you
red
become
flag.
a bigger target. Like I reached out to Virginia Giuffre's organization and I became a bigger target. I reached out to her attorney and they started talking shit about me, saying that I was appropriating their stories because that's clearly what they're doing. So they accused me of what they're doing. And then Maria Farmer has been on me. How are you not helping victims? I'm clearly a victim. They say I'm a clout fame chaser. Okay, can you prove that? Where? Who wants fame and clout for this? That's so disgusting. That's Darvo. That's I mean, you got to be careful reaching out to some of these organizations. Some of these anti-trafficking organizations, they're keeping tabs. I mean, look at John Walsh. It's so hard. I see these missing kids and I'm like, do I share their picture or is that advertising they're available because the network has them? We have
Exactly.
found that kids are in the network. I
Right.
mean, there's so
Yeah.
much
And
to talk
even
about.
like, I have my own personal thoughts on, I mean, I have been viciously attacked by Maria Farmer.
Hmm? And you invited her to come on.
I did. I invited her to
Wait,
come
you
on.
invited her, both of us, to come on. Let's have a talk.
Let's
She
have a
won't do
talk.
it.
She's never
She won't do
spoken
it.
to me, viciously
But she's
attacked me
part of the
because,
net. She's part of the chaos network.
and she says, I'm the only whistleblower. There can't be any other Epstein survivors or whistleblowers. I'm the only whistleblower. And
How
I'm
is
like,
that
what are you talking
feasible?
about?
It's a global ring.
We know
How
that he's
more
had, there's,
victims?
right.
And you know them all? I
All like,
remember when I reached out to
and if she does, like, that's pretty concerning. Like, what was your place in this? If like
that
you
is
vet
exactly what
every
I have
single
said.
person, like,
How do you know everyone in the network unless you are very high up in the network?
and why was she allowed to like be on the news and people like you and others like literally get their accounts taken away? You guys get attacked. It's just very
And she was a
strange.
trafficker, proven, and she's confessed it. She said she feels really bad about it.
And
Okay,
so
are you
like
helping
Maria
anybody?
always has like she can come on anytime. I'd love to like talk and like hash
I
things out.
would
It's
love for
very
us all to be
inappropriate.
friendly and go for the same shit.
We're all fight if she's fighting to get justice, so are we. Like we're fighting for
Right.
her too. Like there's
Maria
no need
Farmer
to like
has
attack
spouted
people.
repeatedly that she seems to think there is limited justice and therefore she can't share it, which I am hacking a machete and creating veins of justice because there's justice for all. That is the law of relativity I am talking about. The law of relativity means whatever I can achieve, you can achieve. Whatever you can achieve, I can achieve. Whatever's available to you is available to me. If Jesus could walk on water, so the fuck can we. We just have to learn how.
100%.
That is the law of relativity. My warlock king walks on water. I got a little work to do, but I'm close. Jesus is my warlock king.
100%. Yes. And I don't know if like this means anything, but I visited and even on Virginia's Twitter, her icon for her
Yeah, it's the
organization,
butterfly.
it's a monarch, a blue monarch butterfly, which is a little bit strange. I don't know if it's like a subconscious thing or if it was done
There's
deliberately.
butterfly stuff everywhere. And then if you go to her website before, her old website before, I think her new one too, she's like smoking and drinking on it. And it's like, that is such a weird role model. Like she's a glass of wine and smoking a cigarette. And I'm like, as someone who used to recruit youngins, that seems like a weird role model. And then on top of it, she's asking for donations. I reached out to her and I have screenshots where she literally said, I met no one. I am mentally ill. She would never go against me. She called me by my name saying I am mentally ill. I've never met anyone and that she would never go against another survivor. Yet she has gone after many survivors, calling them fakes. And so is Maria Farmer. I, and then you go to her website and she's got she looks like, it looks fake. I mean, she's got this weird suit on. Oh, one of the photo shoots was when she was with the, what's the one girl's name? With the short hair. Her dad's in politics. What's her name? I think it starts with an E. She's another Tesla lover, Elon. Short hair, claimed to be trafficked. And then she was saying she was
Oh,
the
is it
craziest shit.
Eliza? Eliza.
Eliza. So she had a photo shoot with Eliza,
That's a
and
blue.
Eliza Blue. Eliza Blue is one of her. If you look up, if you go to what is this, sunshine.org, sunbiz.org, which is where all the Florida businesses are registered. If you look up Virginia's business, Eliza is on there. Eliza Blue is on there as one of her officers. So they're working together, which I find very, very weird because both of them were recruiters and are very weirdly positive about their experiences for the most part. Like Eliza, she's like, we need to have a committee where we say who can have sex with what adults. And it's like, what are you saying? She just said some of the craziest shit I have ever heard, and she gets called on it, and then articles get written on it, and then it's this whole Darvo thing because she's part of the network and they get away with everything. And then no one's actually helped. They don't have any real organization. So Virginia's telling people that she helps people. You reach out to her, you get targeted, attacked, and then she's asking for money after just getting over $10 million from Prince Andrew. Like, who are you helping?
What do you think is the motive behind sort of this like limited hangout group that doesn't really
It's
allow other
always been
people like
planned.
you
It
in?
has always been planned. That is what I've heard, and that is what I have seen and realized and experienced. That it's always been planned.
And is
Trump was
it to
always
control?
supposed to win. Trump was supposed to win a second term. I didn't even know he was supposed to win a second term. All of it is planned. They both sides are fucking us. And then he is the false messiah when really he's the swamp king. He's going to pretend he's getting them. He's also Elvis some days. And then, I'm like, it's insane. Everyone is worried about the wrong things, whether someone's inverted, whether someone's a female or male. And it's like, oh my God, that is so unimportant compared to how we are boiling in this water right now as a collective frog. Trump and Elvis are like fucking 20-year age difference. So how is that feasible? And why is it helping? If he is, he's a predator too. Elvis married his 14-year-old cousin. Like, come on. Or not cousin, well, however, whoever she was, it was 16. She was a minor also. He cheated on her all the time and was horribly abusive to her. And they're like, Trump is Elvis. And it's just like, oh my God, I can't. MAGA is a giant dating cult. They are so weird. And it's both sides. That's why we never get anywhere. And I've reached out to both sides. And the girl that I hooked you up with the other day, I mean, she's been trafficked to Netanyahu, to Trump, to Emhoff, she says, to Hunter Biden, to who else? DeSantis, she says too. Like, that means they're all just playing us, which we know. They're wasting our time. And this has always been the plan. That's what we were saying. This has always been the plan. And this is what other survivors were saying too. There's always been a plan. There were always certain girls that were going to be able to tell their story-ish. And then they tell other people's stories because they are appropriating knowledge that they know. And they know these girls can never get justice because recruiters have way more evidence than victims. Because recruiters are in on it. Victims don't know what the fuck's happening. So it's very hard for us to be like, let's actively collect evidence when you don't know what's going on. So they all have evidence. That's why they're able to get away with stuff. They're using their attorneys. Boys is an internal attorney. David Boys. I mean, he was defending Harvey Weinstein and the Clintons, and he's one of their attorneys. So they're allowed to. They're allowed to lie, and then it makes things look better. I don't know if you remember, I'm trying to remember what her name is, Sarah. There's another girl named Sarah that's one of them also, and she screams at Virginia sometimes. She seems to be a little bit more of a victim than Virginia and Maria, because Virginia was actually recruiting. So there's this girl, Sarah, and she has been outspoken about her trafficking through the network, but she lied at one point and said she had videos of all these people. She said she had videos of Trump and Clinton, and then it turned out that she said, oh, I just said that so that maybe they'd help or back off. And it's like, okay, well, now your credibility is blown. Now nobody believes anything, but that's what they want. The network wants no credibility. They want no one believing anything. Oh, that was debunked. Trump hates Epstein. Like, he'd throw him out. Keep reading.
So do you think with sort of the whistleblowers that have been presented speaking on behalf of the Epstein case, and obviously, I mean, you've had articles that were written about you that were supportive. You've also had articles like hit mail against you, gaslighting and trying to discredit you. What do you think is the motive behind, like, are they trying to control a narrative in a certain way? Like what do you think is like behind that like
Money.
paywall?
It is very lucrative. God didn't make money. Man did. So they're still facilitating it, orchestrating it, owning it. God is energy and truth. Evil is money and control. And that's what's going on still. Everyone is blackmailed. One of the things that I was saying when I brought up Claire earlier, that Madison Claire, is one of the things that she said that really struck me was she said her dad had such heinous blackmail on him that's why he had to do what he did and does. And I tell my husband that too. And I'm like, try to understand these people all have heinous blackmail on them. Some of them, while they were drugged, probably killed something or had sex with an animal or sex with a baby. Anything that is so heinous that every day they go up and go, well, I'm fucked. Got to get back to the grind. And that's why they have to. I don't have blackmail on me. They tried. Dargan tried to get his blackmail. That's the point. The point is to drug you. You're out of your fucking mind. And then your blackmail is, oh, not only were you out of your mind, but you were enjoying it, complicit. And I can't wait to show your dad, is the blackmail. And everyone has it. I mean, you've interviewed a Bernie survivor. He's forced. Bernie's family was going to be murdered, according to that victim. That's what we're dealing with. That's why they keep going. It is a vicious cycle funneled by money and blackmail. People don't want to be part of it. People want to get out of it. They're trying to survive it. They're trying to monetize it. They're trying to escape it. They're trying to control it.
100%.
So
like we know that like obviously Epstein had
that's why we have to speak.
Yes. Obviously he was part of a ring, so was Ghislane. Like that's not a surprise. Like why? I guess like I'm just curious.
Network is one ring. I mean,
right.
they're all criminals, all the network. They're not friends. They have crimes in common. They have blackmail in common. They have fetishes in common. That's why it's so lovely when they turn on each other. And I'm just like, that's so funny. I love watching that. You know, get your popcorn. But that's how they're going to fall, because there is real no allegiance. They all have blackmail. And that's why I'm like, speak up. Everyone's got to speak up. I tried to be the perfect victim because I was targeted at such a young age, and I was 100% victim. And I'm not saying other people weren't victims. I'm just saying I was never talked into things. I didn't have like family making me do things where I'm like, oh no, I feel guilty. I feel guilty, therefore I'm quiet. I was only quiet because I was going to be retaliated. I was outside statutes of limitations, shit that shouldn't be real. And that's why I keep speaking. And then having to go through what I went through as a child, I held myself accountable to try to be the perfect victim because I knew I wanted to speak one day. I knew I wanted to be an attorney. I knew I wanted to get justice. I knew I wanted to go to court one day. So I didn't drink. I was an honor student. I babysat all the time. You know, I ran a recording studio. I tried to be taken very seriously so that I was respected and taken seriously at this step now. So that when I'm fighting for myself, that I'm not, oh, well, what were you drinking? What were you wearing? First of all, you're fucking relevant. Also, here's what I was drinking. Nothing. Here's what I was wearing. My school uniform, long pants, a long sleeve shirt. Irrelevant. But I held myself accountable so that I could counter all that bullshit by saying it's irrelevant. I wasn't drinking shit. Irrelevant. And what are we saying? That girls aren't allowed to drink or you could get raped? Why are men allowed to drink then? Because they're rapists and they get raped? Like, then ban alcohol. I had to hold myself to an insane victim. What do you call it? The perfect victim, which, I mean, it doesn't exist, but I always had to keep that in my mind of don't get drunk. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't give them any reason to say it's your fault, because it's not your fault. And that's why I've got the ability to stand today when so many people can't. If Dargan were my ex-boyfriend, this would be a whole different story. Then it's, we don't really care. You put up with the abuse. They don't care that they still abused you, but you somehow put up with it and it's your fault. This man was a stranger. And yet he's still able to sue me in civil court. So I fight so that I can take that machete and make a way for so many voices that want to scream out. And I want them to. I want to encourage people to speak up, that it is worth speaking up, because you find other survivors and you find your power and you come together and you take down the beast and we win the video game. And I'm just so grateful for people like you. I mean, you are so far and few between that even interviews. I reached out to someone on behalf of that victim that we're talking to, the new one. I reached out to someone that I thought might help us, and she wanted to charge $2,500 retainer for PR. And I'm like, okay, I'll be sure to let this person know you're a dead end. Like, that's disgusting. My podcast, I don't make any money. I hemorrhage money trying to give a space for victims. My website is not free. It used to be $200 a month with Kajabi because I was actually running it for my business. And then I had to turn it into a whole survivor whistleblower network. And then it was making no income, only hemorrhaging hundreds out every month. So I had to move it over to Wix. What's cheaper that I can still help? You do so much to help. So many people don't do shit to help. So many people ignore us. We're the invisible ones. Well, you know what? You're going to be fucking invisible when God comes to see you. I have said this to so many people, and I'll say it again. When people say, I'm sitting on the fence, know that the devil owns the fence. The devil owns the fence. So get in and get busy. Otherwise, you're on the chopping block. God's going to go, we don't need your shit here. We got enough problems. I'm trying to get rid of all the bad guys, elevate the good ones. And if you're sitting on a fence watching, I hope your fence falls down and I hope a spike goes up your ass. And I mean, if I had to say that to my own last attorney too, I was like, I hope you get raped. I hope everyone you love gets raped so that you actually fight for us. Because it was always like, why don't you get over it? Why don't I fucking ram this up your ass with no lube and you tell me how you got over it? And not that that happened to me, but I'm just saying, you're telling me to get over something my body cannot get over. And it's just so disempowering. So fuck those people, get on my site, find my resources, find me on social media. Let's scream at everyone. And let's make this planet livable. Oh my God, I write so many 10-minute plays. I'm like, oh my God, this place is so gross. I'm like, ChatGPT, write a 10-minute play about this place is an Earth. Earth is a rape planet. And we're just realizing this. I said, do another one where, what was it? I saw someone had talked about, they said, what if the Adam's apple in Adam, in men, is them choking on the apple, that they lied and blamed women because we don't have that. And I was like, oh, 10-minute play. I was like, oh my God, ChatGPT, give me a 10-minute play. That's badass. So, I mean, just work where you can, work where you feel safe, find your community. Mine's in the theater. Have your eyes and your wits about you. Use your discernment, build a covenant with God, talk back and forth. God is everything and everyone. So if you're hearing something, it's God. If you think it's a demon, if you think it's evil, oh my God, just try to turn it into God. What am I trying to hear that I'm turning it into something so scary I won't listen to it? Because God is everything. So if you think you're hearing something evil, all it is, it's you're so scared to hear the truth and to hear from God that you're warping it to keep you from your power. I can't tell you how many times where I was like, oh, I'm going to talk to God. And then I'm like, oh, the devil's here. Oh, demons everywhere. You know, it's like, thanks, Catholicism. That doesn't help. That means God is not as powerful as them. And first of all, God created everything. So God would beat the demons and the devil too. So let's override that and just talk to God. That's what I try to tell people. Skip it all, talk to God and Jesus. And if you can't get to God, talk to Jesus. Find the real Jesus, find him on the bridge. He's hilarious and he's for you. He's a table flipper. He's anti-pedo. That's it. I mean, I want to wrap up. I don't want it to be too long that people don't get, you know, what they need out of it. And I'm just so grateful for people showing up and listening. And my throat's so dry.
That's such a, I love you.
I'm talking so much. My honey's
That's such a beautiful note to end on too. I love that like we can talk about such hardships and like your mind is always picking yourself up again to that silver lining and like finding the hope in it and like sharing it, you know, and we really appreciate all the work that you've done. You've really stuck your neck out there. I mean, I remember my first year of podcasting, I had my biggest
I thought you were going to give up.
Yeah, my biggest interview that I had done that just like blew up was a girl named Kaylee Shea
I remember.
and her family viciously attacked me. I had
Yep.
dozens of bots and real people, actual real people that like you could go look up,
I
literally saying
remember.
they're going to
I
sue
remember
me.
watching it.
telling me to take the interview down. Like it was all over all my social media. And I remember I messaged you because I was like, what would Molly do? And I'm like, Molly, like, should I just shut down my podcast? Should I delete the episode? And you were like, no, girl, like you keep going. Like that's what they do whenever you're on the right track. Like they attack because they know that you're right. And like you totally lifted me out of that like fear. I was
God,
panicking so bad. And you were
I'm
just like,
glad.
keep fucking going. Like go, 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 go. Do not take it down. Do not give them what
And
they
that's
want.
the thing too, and I've had to talk to other people too. So a lot of this, sure, they can kill you, sure, they can do whatever they're going to do, but they don't always have that plan or resource. So what they're trying to do is scare you to death.
Exactly.
And that works usually far better. You'll commit suicide, have a heart attack, and then they get credit for it, and they haven't really lifted a finger other than fear mongering you so intensely your heart explodes. So if you can just say, fuck you cameras, like I did at Lisa's house, fuck you, I don't give a fuck, go play your video game with God, and try not to have those fears, because they would like to put in the least amount of effort because they don't have all the resources to be staking outside your window. If I could leave you on one more thing.
Yeah.
When I was a child, one of the things that really, really helped me, because I remember I was like 6 or 7 years old, and it was the first time I'd heard about Frankenstein. And suddenly that night, I was like, I can't sleep. Frankenstein's going to get me. How the fuck does Frankenstein suddenly know who I am the day I know who he is? So if we can understand the logic of, okay, just because I'm aware of a situation doesn't mean it's coming after me right now, doesn't mean it's getting me tonight. It was the same thing as, okay, I learned about Frankenstein. He doesn't have a beacon that goes, oh, Molly knows who I am. I can come get her now. He wasn't trying to get me yesterday when I didn't know who he was. He's not going to come tonight now that I do know who he is. Like I had to be really rational with myself. And then that was very empowering. I was able to get sleep, bring my heart rate down, not afraid of Frankenstein, and go about my day. It's logical. And then I've got my resources to counterbalance that, to counteract that. And then I can go and get help and say, okay, what are the logistics that someone's outside my door and they're casing the place, watching me? If you watch that long enough, you'll see it could be happening and it might not be. Whether they have the resources for it or not, they want you believing it's happening because that works so much faster. You spiral. One more thing. I don't know if you've seen any shows. There was one on Netflix several years ago, and it was a horror show that was audio only. Did you ever see it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it was episode after episode. It was just the audio. You were just hearing the audio, and you were watching the audio track. And it was terrifying because your mind has an infinite budget, right? For effects, for scariness. So when you're not watching what the screen's showing and you're just hearing the audio, your brain can come up with the craziest, scariest, unique to you scenarios. And that's what they're trying to get you to accomplish with the MK Ultra, with the targeted individual, with the negative talk in the head, which any of the stuff that they're trying to get through, they're trying to get you to self-destruct, to do their job. And then they take all the credit. And then everyone watching is like, oh my God, they took out Molly. Oh my God, they took out so-and-so. When honestly, most of the time, you're taking out yourself because it's a psyop, because it's MK Ultra, because it's Manchurian Candidate. They want you to attack yourself. They want you to kill yourself. So try to keep that in mind, that you have a lot more power than you think. You're anointed. We have way more favor with God. So just try to see all those invisible empower ups. I'll call them empower ups.
We see them in you. Your fight is an example of everything that you just said, and you live that every single day relentlessly with pure devotion and heart, and it's just such a testament to your unbreakable spirit and to what's possible. And I hope people look at this like an encouragement. I think sometimes people see a lack of justice and they get discouraged and think, well, why should
Yes,
I seek it? But
as
when
I would too.
right, but when
I've had to
everybody takes
surround
that,
myself with people who have won a little bit, a lot of bit, any bit.
yes. Because that's important. Because if you stand back because everybody else is, then nobody's going to step forward. Where if
Right,
one person does and then another, pretty soon it becomes a snowball. It becomes an
right,
army. And
right,
all of a sudden, like, there's no chance for the other, for the enemy, for the other side to have any
right.
fighting chance against it. It's because
Exactly.
we step back and we're too scared.
And if we
Why
find these
they,
victors, we're finding other resources that are
yes.
valid.
And more people are creating more resources too and saying, oh, I
Amen.
see a need for this. Like, why is nobody
Right,
doing this?
right, right. So many
And
are
that's
becoming
just going to
their
keep
own
happening.
advocates
Yes.
and then taking it from there, which I'm trying to do as well. I mean, even with my website of just here are some resources I want you to have success. Try to find other victims in the papers who have won. Go find them on social media and follow them. That's what I do. That way I have proof that someone's winning. And therefore, that proof is proof that I too could win, which is hope. That's all faith is a hope. And mine is so strong because I witness people doing it. I wouldn't even try if I never saw anyone winning. So find those people. There's plenty of them. I read articles of people coming against the system and then go find them online, support them, and be in their orbit because they have done what you're trying to do. And keep going and reach out. Find me on my socials. I'm very
Where are you at on social? Speaking of following people who are living that example, where are you? Your website is mollysskybrown.com.
MollySkyBrown.com. My handles are all on there. I'm
Okay.
on TikTok. Molly Skye Brown. I'm on Instagram, Molly Skye Brown. I'm on Facebook, Molly Skye Brown. I'm no longer on X, especially for Lent. Gave that up for Jesus.
Good for you.
And I still have my spy account, but I'm not going on it. Being a good girl. The apocalypse is there. It's still burning. So it sucked though because I gave it up and then I heard anonymous hacked X and I was like, damn it, I want to see that. I don't even trust anonymous. I'm like, come on, can you guys get anything done?
Yeah. What are they doing besides just talking,
Why are you so bad at this?
Well, Molly, we really look forward to catching up again and hearing about your next win in court in a few weeks. And I'm going to ask everybody to pray over you, to pray over this case that you have coming up, this trial, pray over your family, your continued safety, to continue to have motivation and the devotion that you have, and just to lift you up in spirit. I know that this is a really hard road, and if anybody's cut out for it, it's you. He really messed with the wrong girl. So I'm really excited to hear about how this goes because I do feel that everything's working in your favor because you've been persistent and because, like you said, the truth wins. The truth sets us free, and lies can only stand for so long. When the truth is next to it, it's always going to
They
plow over
fall
eventually.
apart and you just
Yep.
gotta wait it out. It's a waiting game too. And then one day you'll be like, oh, we waited and we're here. And now the lies are falling apart. And it's, oh my God, go get a nice big cookie and then just enjoy watching it crumble. Because I mean that's the thing, the lies don't add up and that's what they're trying to discredit us. When our shit adds up, I would go get a lie detector test, you can grill me all day long, my story doesn't change and it makes sense and all of it adds up and all of my memories are what they are and there's nothing else there but those memories, and then they tell their lies and they don't add up, so it's just like go for it. The thing I say too is I try to tell people, I tell my husband, I tell my son, I tell myself, imagine when you die here, are you going to be full of regrets that you didn't do what you needed to do, that you didn't try? Because you're not going to be able to come back as the same avatar. You're not going to be able to come back and try to figure out what you fucked up the last time and didn't finish and what bothered you the last time. You're going to be a whole new person and you're going to have to go through a whole awakening again. It could take 20, 30, 40 years again, and you don't even care about your old situation. So do the thing that you are not going to be able to get eternal rest over now. Do it now. Like I said earlier, you don't know if you're going to be forced back to this place. Make it somewhere you're like, oh yeah, I'd come back to Earth as a woman.
100%. Thank you so much for all of your words of wisdom, Molly. It's wonderful too to get to learn, kind of like what's on the other side of all of our worst fears of actually confronting all of this, to know that
Yeah.
there's beauty on the other side, there's love, and hopefully
At some
justice.
point, you become an adrenaline junkie too. You're like, let's confront it all.
And so I'm going to have your website in the show notes. All of her links to her social are there, but I will link her social as well. That way you guys can just click, click, click and go support. Really easy way to support. I always get asked, like, what more can I do? Go follow my guests on social media, go share their content, go visit their websites, support
And
their
YouTube
businesses.
podcast too. Yeah.
It's free. Like, just share this episode. Like, that's something that you can do to help, share it with somebody. And you never know whenever this stuff can happen to you. Like Molly said, this was a stranger. This was not something she had, asked for. It wasn't something that should have happened to her. She was
An
just pursuing an opportunity.
acquaintance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this happens to anyone. You don't have to be born into a satanic family or a cult. Like this can happen to anybody. And we have tons of witnesses on here who have had these random things happen just because they
Newspaper ads.
exactly, yes. So share this with other people. It's really good that we educate everybody on, what's lurking on the other side sometimes of what might look like opportunity or parenthood. There's a lot of different ways that predators sneak into our lives, and we need to be aware of all those ways so we can prevent it and fight against it. And Molly's story is a wonderful example of how we can do that and overcome and be victors to our situations and to keep pursuing justice in spite of all the obstacles in our path. So I'm going to have all of her links below. Like I said, go support her. I'll have all my links as well, you guys. Support me wherever you can too. I'm constantly getting deleted off all these different platforms. So
So
follow me
obnoxious.
multiple places. Follow Molly too. We love you guys so much. Thank you for listening. God bless you,
God
and we'll
bless
see you
everyone.
next
Take
time.
care.